Greetings, comrades. Welcome to All Power to the People podcast on Grown Folks Talking, Express Yourself Internet Radio via the Huddle Team app. We meet every Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We discuss local, national, and global events that impact the material conditions of the people and provide viable solutions. We are here to find those tired of the way their lives are socially constructed. As Panthers, we use dialectic materialism. As Dr. Huey P. Newton stated, power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in a desired manner. From combating the housing crisis to police patrols, we are the vanguard in place to serve our communities. The purpose of this program is to highlight contradictions in the electoral process, which Western culture calls politics. Politics is the struggle for resources. Participating in America's electoral process has only taken resources from the people and handed it to the oligarchs and the professional managerial class that serve them by maintaining the status quo through coercion. We know that power lies with the people, and it is our duty to organize and educate the community so that they can fight for their own liberation. So please, join us every Sunday at 12 p.m. You can join by downloading the Huddle Team app, join online, or call in. The app and joining online is free, but if you call in, standard messaging rates may apply. Links to the show will be provided in the caption. This is General Secretary Patience of the new Afrikan Black Panther Party, NAB-PP North. All power to the people.
I'll be having conversation with people, and they'll be like, so what do we do? What is our option? How do we change our material condition? How do we change the reality around us? I mean, you can't do that. This is from our food program. I mean, so that's why I'm starting off like this, to show everybody like the things that you could do in the community. As Panthers, we come together in North to get this food to go out and give to the families that are starving. We all know, if we live in these communities, we know how hard times are. We're all going through it. We eat the same food too. We take the food in our home and we put them in our bellies. This is our during the school year, all year round. We don't have enough money to go build a school to be able to bring in all these children and stuff. We don't have all of that. But we can create an after-school program. And this is one of the ways we bring the kids in with the after-school program so they could come in for us to give them that knowledge, to teach them, and try to help guide them through this reality, through this world. Hey, you say they teach you about 9/11 in school?
Yeah.
What they teach you about 9/11? Why did the plane hit the buildings? You got to say it loud enough so I can hear you.
The Muslim airjacked the plane and then they crashed shit into the Twin Towers.
That's what they taught you, that the Muslims hijacked the plane?
They didn't talk.
That's okay. That's okay. Relax.
The plane crashed into the Twin Towers.
But why did they crash into the Twin Towers? They didn't. Anybody? Hey, what you were saying, Major?
I also know that they crashed into the woods.
Hold up. Let Major speak. What'd you say, Major?
My teacher told me that there was hijackers on a plane, and then when they crashed it, left the plane, and there was more hijackers on the other plane, and they crashed into that. That's what Towers again.
But why did they crash into the Twin Towers?
Because they wanted to go to New York.
So they crashed into the Twin Towers to go to New York. They died to go to New York.
They wanted to. The hijackers wanted to go to New York, but then they crashed into the Twin Towers.
Oh, they wanted to go land in New York, but they crashed in the Twin Towers. So anybody else got saying to add? Archie, you got saying to add?
I know.
What you want to add?
That the other planes got airjacked and then they crashed into different places.
That's it?
Yeah.
So nobody can tell me why the planes crashed? Why the planes did that? Nobody can tell me? But don't you think the school should tell you why?
Yes. Yeah.
So like, if the school not telling you why, what does that mean?
They keep it secret.
Wow.
It's gatekeeping.
Whoa, where you get gatekeeping from, bro?
I said gates.
But where you learn that at?
TikTok. It's
You say me? you
said
burnt.
TikTok.
You burnt out, yo. You burnt out. Nah, but the reason why they crashed into the into the Twin Towers is because the American government, America was going to their country, taking their natural resources, stealing their stuff, killing their people. So they got mad. They stole a plane and they came and crashed it on the World Trade Center to get back at America. That's why they did it.
So it wasn't 2 planes then?
No, it wasn't one plane. I think it was 2 or 3. Was it? I think it was one. Was no? I think there was one in DC and there was one in Philly or something like that.
So
That did.
Two inside the Twin
Yeah, huh?
So I basically got it right then.
There was
What
two
did-
inside Twin Towers, and then another one tried to crash into the place that Trump lives in.
The Trump Tower? There ain't no plane try to go to the Trump Tower. The White House?
The White House.
Did the plane try to go to the White House?
No, the Pentagon. I think that's
The plane, one went to the Pentagon. But
Something like that.
But these people be lying. The media be lying. The politicians be lying. So you never know what's true. But why they really did it, they said because America was going over to their countries and they were killing their people. They were taking their resources and they were putting military bases in their country. So that's why they did it. I mean, that's why they went over there and did it and stuff. They call that blowback. Like when you go to another country and you do stuff to them and then they come back over here and do something, like they call that blowback.
it's like get back.
Yeah, it's like get back.
They should have did more. So imagine another country.
You said they should have did more?
They should have nuked them.
Then we gonna die. If they nuke us, we gonna die. I don't wanna die.
What if we wasn't alive at that time?
But we're going to continue this later, y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all. We're going to continue later. This is our summer basketball camp. It's going on right now. Every day from 9 to 1. We have this basketball camp that that the kids come out. Yo, it's all about organizing and finding ways to bring people out, bring the children out to be able to organize them. I mean, when you doing these things to bring the children in, to bring the community in, yo, you got to be serious. You can't be playing around with this. Yo, like when the kids come here, at the end of the summer, they're stronger, they're faster, they're quicker, and they know more about the game, about the sport than they did before. You know, we watch their minds develop every day. While we're talking about Pantherism, what do we do? What are the solutions? Yo, there's solutions here. I mean, the solutions is organizing our own community, creating an economic base where we can be able to feed ourselves, take care of ourselves without having to bow down to somebody else, without having to beg somebody else for our humanity. Yo, I refuse to go beg anybody to give me humanity. I will take my humanity by force. I understand I am not free. We understand we are not free as Panthers. There's no doubt in our mind if we are free or not. And you cannot hold anybody that's under oppression, that's under neocolonialism, responsible for how their life turned out, because they control no institution. I mean, I often hear people say, like, the drug dealers, the worst thing in our community is drug dealers, because they're stupid. They're ignorant. They haven't educated themselves to understand the world around them. So they just open their mouth and regurgitate whatever they heard somebody else say. You're a fool. If you believe anything out here is your fault or our fault. Seriously. And I'm telling you, I work with the community all day and all night. And I know how ignorant the community can be. But I don't blame the people for the conditions they find themselves in. They have nothing to do with how anything is done materially in this world. They're just bystanders. The people that I hold accountable is those that know, the intellectuals. That's supposed to know better, but continue to usher our people into institutions of white supremacy, of imperialism, that will continue to exploit us. Tell our people to go vote. What are you voting for? I mean, who are you voting for? Who do they serve? They don't serve the people. They won't serve the people, or they won't survive in those institutions.
Get your phone. It's my song.
What's your son? Get some from him. Get some. Let me see. Hold it out, Bobby. Mira. Hold it out. Let me see. Yeah. Hold up. You got it? You like it? There we go. There we go.
Wait, take you.
You're welcome. What's your name?
My name is Panther.
What position you play?
Like this.
Oh, picture. You're the picture. You're a picture. Your children out here?
No. I'm
No.
just watching.
Oh, you just watching? You
Yeah.
just watching too?
I like
My name Afrika.
Africa.
Africa.
Like the country.
Yeah, the continent. Continent.
More than like
Yeah, continent. Hold up.
happy.
Huh?
Happy.
Yeah. I'll come every year. I'll bring more stuff.
Because there are a lot of talents.
I'll come. I'll bring everything every year. Yeah, we just started. We've come in with the organization. The organization,
New African Black Panther
party. So the Black Panther Party. So look, no politician, no rich person will take care of us. The only people that are going to take care of us is us. If we understand, if we understand that all we need to do is take care of each other, we're going to be good. Yeah, so you notice how all the companies, all the stores is owned by the gringos, Canada, Switzerland. We need to own it. We need to own everything so soon. You need to own stuff in Susua. You need to own Bailey's. You need to own Roomba. Yeah, we need to own all of that shit. Not nobody else. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, man. But that's why I'm here. Everything we do is free. Everything is free. You don't pay. Yeah, you don't pay for nothing. I mean, this is my guy here. This is my guy, Subi. You know Subi? Yeah, this is my guy. He helped me out down here. I've been with this company for about 7 years, but it's been here since 1969. I'm the leader of the company. I'm the leader now of the organization. Yeah. So we come down. He's gonna be down here working down here in the organization for me. Yeah, he's gonna be here working here.
Also, do you visit Puerto Plata?
Yeah, I work for the plot everywhere. I go everywhere. I stayed in.
I'm from Puerto Plata. I'm from the shore to
So you want to help me do this in Puerto Plata? I'm about to cut off the camera and I'm about to take your number. We're going to do the same thing. You know, the person that run the baseball, he helping me too.
I live next to a baseball.
Man, what's your name, man? Tell them your name, man.
My name is Brian. I'm teacher of natural science.
Natural science?
Natural science.
Oh, my God. I'm hitting a home run everywhere I go, man. Papi, mira. Good? You good? There we go. Biology? My God.
The Philadelphia Negro, Chapter 10, Section 26, Part 2. Nevertheless, so long as any considerable part of the population of an organized community is, in its mode of life and physical efficiency, distinctly and noticeably below the average, the community must suffer. The suffering part furnishes less than its quota of workers, more than its quota of the helpless and dependent, and consequently becomes to an extent a burden on the community. This is the situation of the Negroes of Philadelphia today. Because of their physical health, they receive a larger portion of charity, spend a larger proportion of their earnings for physicians and medicine, throw on the community a larger number of helpless widows and orphans than either they or the city can afford. Why is this? Primarily, it is because the Negroes are en masse ignorant of the laws of health. One has but to visit a Seventh Ward church on Sunday night and see an audience of 1,500 sit 2 and 3 hours in the foul atmosphere of a closely.
Hey, Shab.
Sam, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, what did he just blame? What did he just blame the Negro for? Can you control?
No,
I
have to control.
I want to hear that. What did he just blame the Negroes for?
You want me to rewind it?
A little bit. Good.
Forward. Why is this? Primarily, it is because the Negroes are en masse ignorant of the laws of health. One has but to visit a Seventh Ward church on Sunday night.
So when he was,
Yeah, but go ahead. What was it?
so he's saying that they're ignorant of we're ignorant of our health and our conditions by the way we take care of ourselves, and that ignorance is because of the conditions previously. Some of it, he says, some of it is due to slavery, but many of it is because of our own ignorance and our willful ignorance, as later further expressed.
Right.
1,500 sit 2 and 3 hours in the foul atmosphere of the closely shut auditorium to realize that the long-formed habits of life explain much of Negro consumption and rebellion. And again, the Negroes live in unsanitary dwellings, partly by their own fault, partly on account of the difficulty of securing decent houses by reason.
Yo, how is it their fault?
I'm going to explain in his
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you going to explain in your PowerPoint?
Yes. This is the genesis of my PowerPoint.
Ew, they don't say nothing there now, because I'm listening to him, and he's just making me mad, me sitting here listening. But go ahead and play. My bad.
Another
I
question.
already listened to it.
You want the whole reading to play, or are you going to want me to stop here and there?
I'm gonna tell you when it's. You can tell you. I'm gonna tell you when it's.
Awesome. Of race prejudice. If one goes through the streets of the Seventh Ward and picks out those streets and houses which, on account of their poor condition, lack of repair, absence of conveniences, and a limited share of air and light, contain the worst dwellings, one finds that the great majority of such streets and houses are occupied by Negroes. In some cases, it is the Negro's fault that the houses are so bad. But in very many cases, landlords refuse to repair and receive for Negro tenants because they know that there are few dwellings which Negroes can hire, and they will not therefore be apt to leave a fair house on account of thin walls or poor sewer connections. Of modern conveniences, Negro dwellings have few. Of the 2,441 families of the 7th Ward, only 14% had wooden closets and baths, and many of these were in poor condition. In the city of yards, 20% of the families had no private yard and consequently no private outhouses. Again, in habits of personal cleanliness and taking proper food and exercise, the colored people are woefully deficient. The southern field hand was hardly supposed to wash himself regularly, and the house servants were none to place. Habits thus learned have lingered, and the gospel of soap and water needs now to be preached. Negroes are commonly supposed to eat rather more than necessary.
You can stop right there real quick.
It's partially true.
So, as we're paying attention to the passage and we're reading, the condition of the Negro and the condition as it relates back to things that were not within our control, that he is saying is within our control. I'm gathering, from previously reading this, I'm gathering that the conditions in which he's speaking of, he's expecting us to come up with a solution for, or already have the solution prepared. And there's ways in which he describes the cleanliness of Negroes or black people, and that cleanliness infecting in which how they practice themselves in the world, and also how they practice in their own homes, or the ownership of their homes. Is that, if that's the case? Does anybody have any response to that? Is the way in which he says in the way in which we keep ourselves in our homes a reflection of how we act outside of our homes?
I think he also said like 14% of black people like were living in like better conditions or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard him say something about the 14%, and that when I heard that, I thought about the 10%, the what you call it? What is it called? What was it called? The talented 10th.
Mm-hmm.
When he's saying we should be able to be living cleaner, does he mean the individual black person that's inside them slums? Or is he talking about that 14%? Because like even when we like a couple of weeks ago when we looked at the map, this showed where the uppity Negroes moved to, where the black people with money, the middle class black people, the rich black people, how they had moved out of the 5th Ward, I think. Mm-hmm. Is he saying that the individual black person that catches himself in those conditions is supposed to be the one responsible for the cleanliness? Or is he saying that it's supposed to be a group of leaders, that 10% that's responsible for uplifting the rest of the people that don't even understand what he's talking about? So what is he saying? What is Du Bois saying? Is it up to the individual black person? Is it their fault that they catch themselves in those circumstances, or is it the leadership of black people?
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Totally understand what you're saying.
So what is Du Bois saying?
So what is he saying? I guess that will lead. That segue right into the presentation.
Oh, so let's play. Let's play it till you get to your presentation.
The trouble is more in the quality of the food and its quantity, in the wasteful method of its preparation, and in the irregularity in eating. For instance, one family of three living in the depths of dirt and poverty on a constricted street fed for their daily food. When we imagine this pork fried in grease and eaten with bacon bread, taken late in the afternoon or at bedtime, what can we expect of such a family? Moreover, the tendency of the classes who are just struggling out of extreme poverty is to stick.
Hey, hey, Sham, you see what I'm talking about, Sham? You heard what he just said?
Yeah.
Like the food that they eating, like the food that the poor people eat. He said, what is to come of that if this is what they eating? It's like now when they talk about people in the hood, like they eat all this fast food. But what they don't mention is there's a lot of food deserts, and those what is it, 4 for $4? It's often cheaper than going out and buying a whole meal to come in the house to come cook. So is he doing the same thing back then by saying like if they eat this food, what do they expect to happen to them? But don't talk about the reason why they're eating those foods, the hog maws, the chitlins, left over from the worst part of the animal. Is he really focusing on that? I mean, that's what I'm trying to listen to. But that's what I'm catching while I'm listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
In themselves for food in order to have better looking homes. Thus, the rent in too many cases eat up physical nourishment. Finally,
Yeah, I wanted to speak to that too. Like, is he saying that we spend so much on housing that we neglect our food, like we neglect our nutrition, and which is kind of weird because without the house, you're not getting to the food, or without the food, you're not getting to that. So he's explaining a lot of conditions that the Negroes find themselves in, but at the same time, it's like he's blaming the Negro for being in those conditions.
It sounds a little bit even sarcastic to mention. 1 minute, the homes is we don't keep up with the homes, but we spend so much money on homes, and it's similar to what he's saying is some of the conditions that we find ourselves in, where housing eats up more of the money that you have to take care of other things, because keeping up and maintaining a home costs so much more money, right? I was just talking with the elder, and they were saying, for instance, just even around here, like how the light poles, you got to get the light poles on your house, and electricity is in the front versus out in some other areas it's in the back of the house, just to keep the cleanliness and the activity of the neighborhood. And that's environmental science. When you're seeing these wires and dilapidated homes, and you're seeing these structures or whatever, and your home is your only safety valve, you're like, well, I'm gonna keep that over anything else. And so a lot of that thinking is still ingrained in the habits that we find, the situations that we find ourselves in. And someone like a W.B. Du Bois, or in this case, I'll bring up contemporaries to that, Candace Owens will be looking at this and then be saying, well, that's just victim mentality, victimhood. They don't know how to get, I've been through this, I've been through that. Well, you've already put yourself in a position in which the people that benefit from your behavior or your mannerisms will pay you for that, right? You're a good kept, quiet Negro that's in the back or whatever. We got room for one of you, and we'll fill your head with all this delight that you can go and be the spokesperson, the el benefactor or whatever for everyone else.
What you call it? I keep thinking about double consciousness and cognitive dissonance. I mean, because that's exactly what I'm seeing him like in these pages. I see a lot of cognitive dissonance. He understand the problem. Yeah, it's all because of slavery. But then he blamed the same people that in slavery for the condition that they find themselves in. I mean, so I'm wondering if he came up with Because I think he coined the term double consciousness. I wonder if he came up with that later on after this book. But anyway.
But even going back to the maintenance of the home, like in today's, like in City of Newark, like almost 70 to 80% of us are renters, so we don't own these homes. But yet, like, we get charged with maintaining them. For instance, if we put the garbage out, well, we're not supposed to. Our landlord is, but we got a slumlord. When he puts the garbage out, and if the garbage is not bagged up and all that stuff, he gets charged. And when he gets charged, he charges me. So, like, it's not like it's our fault that we're not, that we spend more time maintaining home. The society conditions, we have to maintain these homes, and it costs us to maintain these homes, even as renters. So it's like the chairman said, like you're saying, it's double consciousness, it's contradictory, and all that stuff. But again, to me, it's like disappointing because he's a sociologist, but again, the people that pays him, he has to speak to them. Like, it can't be their fault that we find ourselves in these conditions. It got to be our fault. Hold on.
The number of Negroes who go with insufficient clothing is large. One of the commonest causes of consumption and respiratory diseases is migration from the warmer South to a northern city without change in manner of dress. The neglect to change clothing after becoming damp with rain is a custom dating back to slavery time. These are a few obvious matters of habit and manner of life, which account for much of the poor health of Negroes. Further to this, when in poor health who neglect to take proper medical advice or to follow it when given, leads to much harm. Often at the hospital, a case is treated and temporary relief given, the patient being directed to return after a stated time. More often with Negroes than with whites, the patient does not return until he is worse off than at first. To this must be added a superstitious fear of hospitals prevalent among the lower classes.
Yeah, we stop right there.
Superstitious fear of hospitals prevalent among the lower classes of all people, but especially among Negroes. This must have some foundation in the roughness or briskness of man prevalent in many hospitals, and the lack of a tender spirit of sympathy with the unfortunate patients.
Just stop right there.
Right.
Oh, so speaking to the health conditions of most Black people, we spoke about that one of the last meetings about nervous system, diabetes, all these things that are prevalent in 1891 that are still prevalent today in the health. And so many of the things that were spoken about were the rate in which Black people, so-called Black people, go to the hospital and for what matters. Like, they would rather go as their last method of health, go to the doctors. And he mentions the reasons why is because the roughness, the briskness in which the doctors tend to treat Black peoples, so-called Black peoples, they rather receive a death sentence. And we also got to realize during these times, like now, what's happening with the way in which they treat Black people, minority peoples when they go to the hospitals now. We just were watching a video. We were talking about the mother who was basically who was about to have her child, and the doctor just sitting there while she's going through excruciating pain. We have all these different cases of people who have died in the hospital, Black people for not being properly treated, right? There's even the conspiracy about what happened, about how Martin Luther King died. He suffocated in his own blood, and Martin Luther King was supposed to be the chairman of peace for Black people and for America at one point in a period of time. So we still have these issues that are happening in our hospitals, and we have these issues in which how we're being treated. So we rather get sick before we go to the doctor. So that also means that it's important what the Panthers did with creating these different systems for hospitalization of people, so we can have places to go to, have places to be seen and be checked on, and not have to deal with possibly being tested and hypothesized and used in our bodies, used as experimentation projects. Because that's another thing that was going on with these hospitals as well. We know about what's going on in Tulsa and the syphilis experiments, Tuskegee experiments, where they were testing out all these things that now that they're revealing the truth of them, these people that passed on and going on already. So this is after, this is obviously we were finding out about the Tuskegee experiments after this book obviously came out. So you already know what was going on during the time of this book coming out to people's in the hospital. So we can keep on going.
Yeah, no, I wanted to say something too, and I want other people to chime in too. So like right now, everybody, if you put on social media, if you scroll, but my what you call it is probably different. My algorithm is probably different from a lot of people. But when I go on Instagram, all I'm seeing is what's going on in Venezuela. What happened in Venezuela? That's all I'm seeing. And Sham, we was on the phone yesterday. We had our weekly meeting, and I remember you saw Berkeley there, right? And he in school for dentistry, right?
Mm-hmm. I see.
We're reading this book. This book is from 1896, and the same conditions that we're going through today with the medical field, with the housing, with food. It's the same conditions from back then, like 10, 15, 20 years after slavery. We're in 2025. Everybody's running around here, marching. They're on their social media talking. As Panthers, we don't believe that's how you change anything. We got to have our own doctors. We got to raise our own children that go and learn how to become doctors and come and serve in the community. Sham, you have a degree in business. You're using that towards the Panther Party. Berkeley is about to graduate with his dentistry degree, whatever. I don't know what you call that. But he's about to come back to open dentist, dentist, whatever, in the community. And this is what we mean by revolution, changing things as they were. We shouldn't have to go to doctors that don't want to treat us. We shouldn't have to go buy food from people that don't want to feed us. At what point are we going to start to build these institutions in our communities? And that's the argument we have with everybody. You could say you on our side all you want, but if you're not trying to produce doctors that serve the people, if you're not trying to produce dentists that serve the people, mechanics, all these things that serve the people, then you're just talking. You're just talking and you're trying to maintain the system. And that's where we're coming from. That's our solution to changing the reality outside. We must build institutions that serve the people. It is no longer negotiable to think we can go to the government. The time for talking is over. To go to the government, to go to imperialism, and demand that their hospitals treat our women better. Demand their hospitals take care of us. Those days are over, and it's not up for negotiation. So it don't matter how long it takes. This is what we are going to do. Build our own institutions.
Many a Negro would almost rather die than trust himself to a hospital. We must remember that all these bad habits and surroundings are not simply matters of the present generation, but that many generations of unhealthy bodies have bequeathed to the present generation impaired vitality and hereditary tendency to disease. This effort seems to be contradicted by the reputed robustness of older generational blacks, which was certainly true to a degree. There cannot, however, be much doubt when former social conditions are studied, but that hereditary diseases plays a large part in the low vitality of Negroes today, and the health of the past has to some extent been exaggerated. All these considerations should lead to concerted efforts to root out disease. The city itself has much to do in this respect. For so large and progressive a city, its general system of drainage is very bad. Its water is wretched, and in many other respects, the city and the whole state are woefully and discreditably behind almost all the other states in Christendom. The main movement for reform must come from the Negroes themselves. It should start with a crusade for fresh air, cleanliness, healthily located homes, and proper food. All this might not settle the question of Negro health, but it would be a long step toward it.
Yeah, but he just said it. He just said it, Sham. He said this must come from the Negro themselves. That's what he just said just now in the clip. All of this must come from the Negroes themselves. But what is he talking about? Is he talking? Let me.
Healthily located homes and proper food. All this might not settle the question of Negro health, but it would be a long step toward it. The most difficult social problem in the matter of Negro health is the peculiar attitude of the nation toward the well-being of the race. There have, for instance, been few other cases in the history of civilized peoples where human suffering has been viewed with such peculiar indifference. Nearly the whole nation seemed delighted with the discredited census of 1870 because it was thought to show that Negroes were dying off rapidly and the country would soon be well rid of them. So, recently, when attention has been called to the high death rate of this race, there is a disposition among many to conclude that the rate is abnormal and unprecedented, and that, since the race is doomed to early extinction, there is little left to do but to moralize on inferior species. Now, the fact is, as every student of statistics knows, that considering the present advancement of the masses of the Negroes, the death rate is not higher than one would expect. Moreover, there is not a civilized nation today which has not in the last 2 centuries presented a death rate which equaled or surpassed that of this race. That the Negro death rate at present is anything that threatens the extinction of the race is either the bugbear of the untrained or the wish of the timid. What the Negro death rate indicates is how far this race is behind a great, vigorous, cultivated race about it. It should then act as a spur for increased effort and sound upbuilding, and not as an excuse for passive indifference or increased discrimination.
Now what, patience?
Peace.
Peace. All right. So I'm gonna stop sharing. And you should be able to share your screen.
All right. So with that, there's a lot to gather from that, and that lead me into my presentation. Get this going, and that leads me to a question that maybe we can all help answer, and then we're going to go through this together. So this is like, anybody who knows me, formerly a teacher. So you see this image. I'm a person, I love images and asking questions. You see gold all on my chain. Are we slaves by our condition or by our decisions? Now, as we go through this, I'm going to have my own interpretations and responses to certain things, but I want to leave this open for us all to have a discussion and question some of the things in our society. I have a second part of this where I want to focus more on the health of it, but from where I feel like this book and this passage I took most from, and what will gather the people together is us understanding what does it mean or what it meant to be a slave, and those conditions that we're constantly, especially talking about in this book, that affected us in the text of this book and also affects us today in our decision making. Is it our conditions that leave us in the situation that we're in, our condition that we have no control of, or is it our own decision making? So that's the question that we're going to leave to answer. So with that, before I begin, does anybody have any questions, responses to this image, to this question, or response directly? Not right now. So let's go. The making of the slave.
Now, hold up. Hey, Ibrahim, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Bezu, Rodrigo. Yeah, hey, yo, I need y'all to chime in. So talk to us. So what y'all think? Like, are we slaves by condition or by our decisions? Like, what's the feedback before we even go into it?
No, the whole time I was listening to the usurped from the book, I was just thinking like he's not talking about the conditioning of the people, right? These people have been conditioned because well, I think we should do it after because I don't want to I think he's going to hit a lot of this because the whole time they was talking, I just kept thinking conditioning. Then he came out and said conditioning. So I don't want to step on his toes with any of the work that he did.
Well, you know what? I'm probably the one. I'm stepping on stones. So go ahead. Continue. Shad. My bad.
Okay, no problem. So that's fine. That's fine.
I agree with him too. I agree. We're listening. We're here.
Okay. Let's get into the presentation. Let's talk about some things. Next slide. So the making of a slave, according to Willie Lynch letter. If anybody's know about the Willie Lynch letter, we could talk about that further. But so I want to read a passage from the Willie Lynch letter. If anybody isn't aware of it, some people say it's fictitious, it's real, but let's just talk about the contents of it. So greetings, gentlemen. I greet you here on the bank of James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I'm here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your crops are failing because you are having trouble controlling them. I have a foolproof method for controlling slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on my plantation in the West Indies and will work throughout the South. Take this simple little list of differences, then make them, and think about them. On top of this list is age, but there is only because it starts with A. The second is color or shade. There's intelligence, size, sex, size of plantation, status on plantations, attitude of owners, whether the slaves lives in the valley or on a hill, east, west, north, south, hair texture, tall versus short. Now that you have a list of differences, you must use them against each other. You must have white against black, but also dark against light. You must have male against female and old against the young. You must use the female against the male and the male against the female. But it's necessary that your slaves trust and depend on you. They must love, respect, and trust only you. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. They will control themselves and perpetually distrust for generations. So here's the image of Sir, what's his name, Bastard Willie Lynch or whatever. Supposedly it's the image of him. And this is one of his plantations. I don't know if I'm not able to really zoom. Let me see if I can try to zoom in. And if you could close up and see, you can see how it's kind of broken up. It's broken up like a neighborhood. And it's mentioned, I'm probably going to play the video right now, that many of these plantations across the South, the West Indies, were like towns, were the towns. This is where towns and townspeople came to for the hubs. Many of the communities were broken up. Like if you see, you can't probably see the image all the way. I can't zoom all the way in the way I like to. But if you could see, many of these areas are broken up, by neighborhoods. This is the English parish area of the plantation. Here is Portuguese. I think this area over here is French. Here is the town area about here, around here, the main town area. But it's built like a town square. It's built out like blocked off, segregated communities, one-way street, one-way neighborhoods. And where the works are associated, I think some of the works are associated here. I think this is the crop and land over here, and I think this is the kitchen area down here areas, and then outside of the walls. So you see how these cities are these communities are built up throughout these plantations to mirror many of the communities that we live in today, and how we're segregated and blocked off. And this area is for this people, and this area is for these group of people. But this is where we got to communicate and commerce in. So many of these things were built up in this way. Does anybody have any questions responses to this. I'm very much tuned into, I use fear and distrust and envy for control purposes. That fear and distrust that we came across when we were talking about in the text, even the terminology in which W.B. Du Bois is talking about black people, it's a separatist mind, it's a separatist dialogue, and it's a distrust of the Negro person, not only from a standpoint of a white oppressor, if you want to use, but also another quote unquote so-called Negro or so-called black person, which further embodies that distrust. No questions, concerns, comments?
Hello.
Yes.
I was interested in how, I guess, like, generational this is, because you can see these similarities today. Like, it just shows how lasting of a legacy this is. It's like how still to this day it's always white against black, dark against light. We still have the old against the young. It's just a bunch of fear mongering in order to keep us separated from each other.
For sure. It's to keep the separation, and it's the magnet. And I think what's so important, I mean, what's so big, and some people might say, if they ever watched the show Boondocks, like they say, they would call it like a nigga moment, like how a small moment can, lead to a bigger issue. Just stepping on somebody's shoes can be magnified, or how even issues within our own life to how we interact with each other, how these things can be magnified, and how that can be cultivated. That distrust can be energy, and fear can be used to gain respect gain respect and trust over your oppressor. You will love your oppressor to death versus you loving your brother or your sister or your family member or somebody right next to you. You have more trust for them and their systems than you have for trust for yourself, even in your own self. That's the part that's is important, and it leads back to the question: are we slaves by just the condition, or are we slaves by our decisions? If we decide these things.
To piggyback off of Captain Patience about how the differences are still highlighted today, and I just want to pinpoint to where it says separate them, have some living in the valley and some on the hill, and I'm like, the idea of that we have taught our kids and families, get a job, go to school, get a job, and leave the hood. And this speaks right to it. That's how they have us, some people living in the valley, the suburbs and stuff, and we are, in the hill, which is the suburbs, the middle class or whatever. And then we're still here, and then we're left here in the conditions we find ourselves in, and we're blamed for those conditions. But those that go ahead and move up to the hill, they're not blamed for the condition they find themselves in. They're pretty much praised and celebrated for just moving moving up the social ladder. But at the same time, they're not doing anything for the people that they left behind. And that just goes back to, and people are starting to realize, but we still got a stronghold on this, and I'm being on a tangent, but it relates, on this celebrity worship culture. Like they feel like Dave Chappelle is like the true speaker for black people, the leader, but he tells you in his stand-up that he's a capitalist, and he doesn't care about the people. So, let me not go on.
You going off, because we about to get into that. Especially, we get into a part when we're gonna get into as this. It's right now. It's me dialoguing and we all talking. But we're gonna get into a part, because, like I said, I teach that we're going to have some type of dialogues like that. We're gonna have I'm not gonna tell you yet, but we're gonna get into it. Let's get further into it. So next slide. So PTSD / the slave mindset. Anybody heard of PTSD before? Right? We say post-traumatic stress disorder. All right. So many people who go through traumatic events have difficulty adjusting and coping for a while. but they don't have PTSD. With time and good self-care, they usually get better. But if the symptoms get worse or last for months or even years and interfere with your function, you may have PTSD. And within that, there's a sub-science by, this is Dr. Joy DeGruy, with post-traumatic slave syndrome. And I want to play a clip on that, and I want to hear some of y'all responses.
Like slave syndrome. How many of you are familiar with post-traumatic stress disorder? But when we start talking about chattel slavery, we're not talking about one trauma. We're not talking about a specific event. We're talking about generations of trauma with no intervention. Based on what I know about sugar plantations, tobacco, and the Caribbean, I know about American chattel slavery and the plantations there. Does anyone right now ever recall mental health assistance to slaves? Anybody remember sending in the therapist after I sold off your son, daughter, raped folks? At any point? Never. Second question. After slavery was officially over, now you're free. Anybody remember any therapy then? We know it's been rough, it's been deep for you, it's been difficult. We're going to do a little group therapy. Anybody remember that? That would be no. Number 3, after slavery officially ended, both in the States, in the Caribbean, the British, do you remember whether or not trauma continued? Did the trauma continue for people of African descent? I need to know. Okay, so now let's do the math. Hundreds of years of trauma, no treatment. Freed, more trauma, no treatment. What do you do the math? Do you think there may be residual impacts of that trauma? Of course there is. It didn't end, friends, and it hasn't ended yet. So I think on one point, African people and people of African descent are extremely resilient. Matter of fact, I think we're a miracle. Far be it for us to pathologize or to look and cast this idea of weak and sick people. Oh, on the contrary, we are profoundly resilient because we've done everything we've done thus far with no help, with not even the ability to have this discussion. As though it were possible, we escaped injury in all those hundreds of years and the years that followed. So this kind of journey I'm going to take you on is going to be one that really gives a perspective on what this trauma was, what it looks like, and clinically, what is post-traumatic stress disorder? What does it look like? Let me give you a little snapshot. We'll get into it in more depth a little later. But post-traumatic stress disorder, if in fact you are diagnosed with that, again, remember, direct or indirect trauma, here are some of the symptoms. A feeling of foreshortened future. Now, what does that mean? A feeling, well, you're not going to live long. How many of you are running into young people that don't believe they're going to make it past their 20s? Feeling of foreshortened future. Exaggerated startle response. Outbursts of anger. Difficulty falling or staying asleep. Hypervigilance. Right? These are symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. This is like DSM stuff, Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. It's in there. And there's a whole listing of all these symptoms. Now, I want to roll it back so you can understand what the transmission theory is, because I'm going to talk about transmission. So how does a person that's been traumatized by post-traumatic, literally has the diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, and can we, if we are logical and we are reasonable people, assume that a fair number of Africans had to have had post-traumatic stress disorder? You think? I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about them. Untreated, though, right? Okay, so now let's do the math. Mom, who saw dad sold or sister raped, has post-traumatic stress disorder. Still mom, though, right? Only mom now has outbursts of anger, feeling of foreshortened future, difficulty falling or staying asleep, hypervigilance. That would be mom. Now, Johnny or Memphis or Shaquisha did not have the original trauma. But what are they learning? This is called social learning theory. What am I normalizing? exaggerated startle response, outbursts of anger. Are you following me? So I didn't have to be traumatized. Now, the other thing is, do you think Johnny and Mary got traumatized too? Do you see? So what happens in your environment, you learn from the significant others in your environment. And if they're broken, guess what you're going to be? You're learning from broken people. And you're normalizing that behavior. And then it becomes, years later, 2008, that's their culture.
So that was Dr. Joy DeGruy. I have one of her books right here. This is the book she's talking about, post-traumatic slave syndrome. And she mentions many of the pseudosciences or many of the situations that so-called black people or people who have been captured, I call slavery, prisoners of war in this country, the conditions that affected us to this day, and the mental issues. And so she mentioned one thing that she mentioned, if you have, what we see it among young people, a feeling of foreseeable ending of life or termination of life. And even if you live longer, there's an emboldening feeling of like, I'm gonna die anyway. So that plays into some of the habits. What was that? The second one was, hold on. The agitation, aggravation, the being easily upset or emotional. And then the last thing, the hypervigilance, like trying to speed through life. I know my life is going to end, so I'm gonna be hypervigilant in that, I'm gonna just live however I'm gonna live because I'm gonna die anyway. And anything that's gonna, whatever, stop me from living however I want to live, then it doesn't matter. Some of these things play directly into what we were talking about in the Philadelphia Negro, where W.B. Du Bois is like, well, why does it seem like black people or Negroes are ignorant to their health or ignorant to these things? That's because many of them are going through some of these things right here. Many of them have PTSD. They're like, I'm not worried about that. I'm just trying to live as long as I can live, because there's all these factors that have played into me. And then there's also the transmission of energies from people that were before me that are leading into my behaviors today. What does anybody think about the theory of post-traumatic slave syndrome as I open up the next slide?
Remember to share your screen.
Right.
Come on, man. I don't want to be the only one talking. Somebody else go.
Well, I know I suffer from post-traumatic.
But you already talked already. I want other people to chime in. I don't want us to be the only ones.
True.
Like, this is a conversation.
No, I just say this. I found it to be true, and I just give an anecdotal experience. Being incarcerated, we used to be in the bullpen. Chains coming before they put you on the chain gang, and it does something to your spirit, right? Just to hear the shackles come before they even get there. And then now, when I did flatbed work, I used to have to chain stuff up. But I hear the chain, and it'll take me back to the experience of being incarcerated, right? And it takes my mind back to a time where I didn't even exist, and think about our ancestors and be like, man, like, I don't know why just the sound of chains, right? Whether you incarcerated or at work, just the sound of chains hitting each other takes me back like that. So we definitely experiencing different traumas that we went through and traumas that our ancestors went through.
Hey, hold up. All power to the people. Hey, yo, you was on the chain gang?
Power to the people.
Yeah. So I don't know if y'all had we had, I think it's called the Geo Group, and I can't remember the other one. It was I went from high school to college to prison, right? That was kind of like my pathway. Then back to college, then back to prison, then back to college. But anyway, that was kind of my experience. I think it was Geo or AmeriCorps. One of them, they used to have this like long chain group that they would take us from like court back to the county with, and they would do it on an underground passage. It was like, and just how it would invoke. Mostly just black men, right? Mostly just black men. They would put you on these chain gangs, and there was always a nigga that would say, "Hey, speed up. We don't want to be in these tunnels being cold." And I'm like, "Nigga, we gonna get to where we gonna get to anyway." It was you always had some inmate, and he would be at the front trying to rush everybody along, trying to make the whoever was the officer that was taking us to and fro feel better about his job. And it just, for me, it just invoked, like, this is what our people went through in slavery. And every time I had to go through that experience, like a piece of me always wanted to be rebellious. I didn't want to go against my other inmates, but I'd be like, man, fuck you, man. Like, we going to get there when we get there.
All power to the people. Hey, go ahead, Sham.
All power to the people. So to get to the next slide, you see these images here, like what he was, like the brother was mentioning, Ibrahim was mentioning, like, you know, the chains, all these shackles, you know, all these things is representation, and not only just for just to be seen, it's also instill a sense of dread, you know, to bring some of that energy back. And another thing that it also does to our people, and I've noticed from reading the text, Stockholm Syndrome. If anybody doesn't know what Stockholm Syndrome is, it appears when an abused victim develops a kind respect and empathy towards their abuser. It was named after a bank robbery in Stockholm when a group of bank employees were held hostage and developed a strong sense of empathy towards their captors. When their traumatic event was over, they even defended their captors by not wanting to say anything that might endanger their captors' freedom. This usually happens because the victim sees the smallest act of decent behavior as an extracted event, which makes them see their captors as essentially good. This way, they leave aside all the negative behavioral distinctions of their captors and focus on the positive ones. This syndrome is also called dramatic bonding and victim brainwashing. So here we have some images of some victims. Pretty sure y'all know some of these victims, especially the celebrity. We're talking about Secretary Patience. General Secretary Patience was speaking on celebrity. So here we have this, you know, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, y'all know this young man here, a Soldier Boy. Hold up, shout out to all the slave masters. Without them, we still be in Africa. And then I remember, y'all probably remember this crusade here. Some big faces here. We have 50 Cent, we got Diddy, Mary J. Blige, you even got Maya, right? Do you want to live, vote, or die? Y'all remember that during that time? Everybody's talking about, they were talking about the vote or die. So what do y'all think is the connection between the Stockholm Syndrome, as explained here, and some of these people here that we have here, these images?
I think I'll say something. I go real quick. I think it's kind of nefarious. What the word everybody using now? What the word all the kids are using? What they be saying? This is what? Diabolical.
Diabolical.
That's a new word that done came out now, and everybody's using diabolical. The last slide that you showed, I got a cold. I'm about to sneeze. It didn't even come. I was about to sneeze. But the last slide you showed with Dr. Joyce DeGruy, I've been aware of her for probably almost 16 years now. And the problem I have with people like that, these academics, they tell us the conditions that we are going through, everything that we already know, but there are no institutions or anything to remedy what we're going through. Where has Dr. Joy DeGruy worked her whole entire life? She has worked in these institutions that's oppressing the masses of the people. And then she writes a book and makes money off the book, explaining our conditions, but do nothing to aid the people that's going through that hell. Yo, I met her when she came to Newark a few years ago. They was talking about gentrification, and they had a panel of all these politicians and all these academics. And they were all up there talking about gentrification was coming, and what we needed to do was buy their books and go to their seminars for us to be able to liberate ourselves. They were hustling us, diabolical. I mean, they were hustling us just like these celebrities. These celebrities get paid to keep us stupid, to keep us thinking our solutions is the voting booth. Despite them knowing generation after generation, year after year, county after county, city after city, state after state, all the elections that they've had the last 60, 80, 90 years, none of them have done anything to change the condition of the people. None of them has improved. I'm going to say it again, because this is a hard charge to make, but I'm making it. No politician, no voting for any of them has changed the condition of the people in all the elections. Add it up. Go back 100, 200 years. It has done nothing to change the condition of the people. So what they're doing is diabolical. And now people are looking at celebrities and actors as if they're role models or heroes, when they are court jesters. If you understand what a court jester is, it goes back a couple of 100 years to the medieval time, to the feudalism. They used to bring in clowns, people to come in there to entertain the court. That is where celebrities came from. That's who celebrities are. Before, people used to look at them as fools, as like people to make fun of. Now, in our communities, these people are role models, and they trot them out to say ignorant statements like this. Hold up. Shout out to the slave masters. Without them, we'll still be in Africa. Because that's a bad thing, to still be in Africa. It's better to be over here, exploiting your people in this ice box. Yo, it's deep. It's diabolical, really, bro.
And I wanted to add how much diabolical it is. Like, we watched Dave Chappelle stand up, and the man is telling you to your face that he's a capitalist. Where he lives, that he bought up the whole city. He owns the city. And when they came to him talking about affordable housing, he told them to basically kiss his black ass. Like, okay, just because he's the one black man in Utah, Bumble, whatever, that owns all this property, and why do you think he relates to you? Why do you think that he cares about you? Why do he think that he cares about poor people or housing or gentrification or food? The man, so I need people to understand, these people that you're looking up to, they don't care about you. Chappelle is no truth teller. Chappelle is not saying anything that we don't know. All he's telling us is who he is as a person that don't care about the people. And people need to see that and understand that for what it is.
We talked about that in Black Capitalism Reanalyzed by with Huey P. Newton, where he was saying, like, black people don't need any black capitalists to be the ones that are the oppressors. Like Chappelle, all the money he has, none of that, not a dime of it, has anything to do with the masses of black people. None of it. And if he was helping out black people, he wouldn't have that money, because the people that platformed him wouldn't platform him. They wouldn't give him the space to be able to speak. He's a tool. He's a court jester. And like, this is the conversation that's never had on those spaces or in the public arena. We never have these conversations. So you have sellouts, people that are in the system. They'll come out and push people like Chappelle down our throats, and they'll tell everybody he's a truth teller. Like, wherever social media, wherever you see it at, you'll click on that person's name and go look at that person's bio, look at who they are. These people, by and large, really work for the system. They're part of the system. And then they push these people out to try to condition everybody else. Conditioning. And then they wonder why people will go spend their last on trying to go buy a chain, try to go buy sneakers, because it's all part of the system we live in. Yo, I've had people tell me, when they talk to me, the first thing they look at is my clothes. They look at my shoes. That's what people do. When you're talking to people, they don't listen to what you're telling them. They look at your appearance, and they start to make a judgment on who you are. Where do you work at? How much money do you make? Should I even be listening to this person? Yo, that's why people buy sneakers. That's why people buy shoes. Why people care more about their clothes than worrying about where to stay. They've been conditioned to think that's more important. And until we have the institutions ourselves that do that recondition, that not even because people that are already conditioned, I'm tapped out. I don't think I could organize those people. I'm not beat. I mean, the children, our children, the next generation coming forward, we have to put institutions in place to make sure this social condition doesn't take part in their lives. That's what we call organizing. That's what we're doing. That's what the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense who we are. That's what we're doing. I mean, we're not asking nobody. We're not begging nobody. It's time for us to take the mantle. But let me shut up. Go ahead, Shab.
You going off? No, speak. Appreciate it, comrade. Thank you. Appreciate it, Chairman. And you speak. You spitting right now, so I have no problem with it. Let's keep on going now. How to make a new slave. So we have the image. We have the triangle trade, and we have the new triangle trade. So we have the plantation, which makes the raw materials. The raw materials become manufactured goods that slave buys, and the slave incarcerated by the enslaver, and then that's the cycle. And here we have private prisons. They don't get donations or support from other groups and legions. They make manufactured drug laws to create harsher crimes, and then inmates. Here's the triangle trade, the new triangle trade. So we know the 13th Amendment by the U.S. Constitution states that slavery and involuntary servitude be abolished except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. This one phrase is what allows for slavery to legally continue in the United States prisons, and what makes it possible for people to continue to profit off slavery today. This system of modern slavery has inevitably become an industry built upon racist policies that disenfranchise those whom the system oppresses and contribute to success of the oppressors, their business partners, and those who are financially invested in the system. So this is part of how to make a new slave. Let's keep on going. If anybody has no questions or concerns, keep on going. So they sell you just for you to buy it back. So we were speaking something about these different organizations. It's established. We're understanding that this is an establishment, right? It's a corporation. So a part of the incorporation in capitalism is to keep some people down and other people at the top, right? So they rephrased slavery, and which is always what it was, prisoners of war, using prison as what it always was, even at the start of this country, for a means of production in globalization, using religion, using economics, or the idea of gaining money and supply and demand to push forth controlling peoples. So this oppression includes the products made by enslaved prisoners for companies such as Victoria's Secret, Starbucks, Walmart, and Microsoft that are ever present in our consumer society today. Prisoners that manufacture these items can make an average of 33 cents to $1.41 an hour at prisons owned by the private companies Corrections, or CCA, or Core Civic, and NYCE, which you can buy stocks on, and GEO Group, NYSE GEO. So unincarcerated consumerist American can pick up underwear from Victoria's Secret usually for between $10 to $36. Your own underwear, coffee, computer, and more are made possible by exploitation of inmates enslaved in the justice system. The people that are least likely to be in prison are directly profiting from the bad ethics and heinous of the prison industrial complex. This is all without mentioning the perpetual oppression, public trading of private prison companies like CCA, GEO, and their suppliers has been on Black people of color, or BIPOC. And without mentioning the direct profits investors are seeing coming from the back of the average person. And so you have this group that were lobbyists, and these companies can meet together at the middle, is ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. So a legislator for every corporation. So you see the corporations on here, right? You see all this on here, these companies. These companies essentially, we already know, own parts of prisons or parts of the economic industry because it fuels it. They look at it like I'd rather have a prisoner than have, or a slave, than to have somebody in working capacity. So let's generate this system that's already been going on. Actually, slave leasing been going on since 1865 in Louisiana. And at one point, it was, if a mother is pregnant with a child while she's incarcerated, that child, up until I think it was 12 or a certain period of time, that child is also owned by the prison or the state, which is the prison. So these are things that are just further continuations into today. And the reason why that's important because the average person is in prison, and so a lot of the time these thinking and we're looking at stuff like where it says vote or die, or I don't want to be in Africa because I'll be going through all this stuff. You're still going through the same hells here. You're just benefiting from all these other industries. And so the same people that's supposed to be our people are benefiting from these industries. So yeah, you don't want to go back because you're benefiting from it. You don't see yourself as the average person that's going through all these things. And some of the average people are caught up in going to Starbucks or going to Walmart or purchasing things from Microsoft or all these different things because we may not be aware or unaware, based off of what was also used in the Willie Lynch letter, creating distrust and envy in which they only can use us, creating these generational problems that exist because of this money system, because of the lack of history that is properly explained, and also because things are not properly addressed. Does anybody want to speak to this or what they know about the ALEC program? So slave leasing in the 13th Amendment. So we have Levi Strauss. We got Levi Strauss here. I'm pretty sure y'all know what Levi's are, Levi jeans. So slave leasing in the U.S. allowed enslavers to hire out Africans to companies and governments and individuals for profit, fueling industries like railroads, ironworks. That's really like you mentioned, brother. You mentioned, I think earlier, about the chain gangs. This is why the chain gangs was started, to build railroads and do ironworks and continue what they were doing at one point when they were, making the way to the West, when they were doing the expansionism, right? When they were trying to expand the country. So this is part of the reason why these chain gangs and other things came to be with the industrialization. So the textile, while workers themselves received nothing, even after emancipation in 1865, convict leasing extended this exploitation, keeping slavery's economic foundation alive. So many institutions, from banks, insurance firms to universities, profited directly, while companies like Levi Strauss, though not slave holders, relied on denim made from cotton picked by enslaved labor. In this way, slavery's legacy deeply shaped American industry and wealth. And as you see here, this image here, right here, is very eerily reminiscent of what you see on the Levi Strauss brand. Brand is very important. Patented in the U.S. Right here. And that's the 4-horse, we call quartering, where they would, to show certain punishment or to display a public punishment where they have the 4 horses drawn. Yeah.
Hey, the book you said earlier, the Willie Lynch. That's what the dude said in the book. Yo, you have to tie them. Did you say that already?
Yeah. No, go ahead. You can go further. You can keep going now.
Yeah, get the biggest, baddest nigga on the plantation, to discipline your other niggas and make sure that they all understand that you're the master, you're the boss. Get the biggest, toughest slave you got. Tie him to each hand, each emphasis, whatever, to a horse, and then beat the horse and let the horses go in different directions and rip him apart. Mm-hmm. This is what they did during slavery time. Mm-hmm. To psychologically control the nigga. Yo, and I'm my whole life, I wore Levi's. My whole life growing up in middle school, in high school, we used to call them the nunt. I mean, we wore Levi's. I never looked at the tag. I never understood any of this about wearing Levi's. And then somebody will pop up out of nowhere and be like, yo, why is he spending his money on all these clothes? Yo, because I didn't know. I was conditioned to think they were just jeans that you're supposed to wear. This is the cool jeans to wear. Mm-hmm. That's all I thought. So I didn't, that's crazy, bro. All power to the people.
All power to the people. Yeah, and the symbols, they find a way to bring themselves back together. Or when you're looking at this, you're like, well, why would they want to rip the jeans? Why would you want to rip the jeans up? If two horses, so they know what they're doing when they with these images and imagery. So prison chains and mindset then versus now. We were talking earlier about it. We were talking about prisons and chain gangs and the image, right? The prisoner of the past working on the chain gang, building the railroads versus today. You see here, this is prison. Let the image load. So we see the images of today. I mean the prison mindset then versus now. Right, you see, we got this brother. I think it's called Hype. It was a Hype Beats magazine. Bro has a whole Jordan collection while in prison. Got a whole Jordan collection in prison. New sneakers, all this, heartbroke, like all this different stuff. But do you see the image of the past, the mindset, the change? So I asked, like, are we once again from the beginning? Are we slaves by our condition, or are we slaves by our decisions? Because it look like brother having a good time right here in jail. And ancestor over here, he not having a good time. He got chain around his neck, got chain linked to his feet. He not having a good time at all. They look like they having a good time. Are they really?
No, it's like we've been conditioned to think we're free now. So even behind the cell, if you have joys, if you have a lot of oodles and noodles, you get commissary, you find joy in those things. Even though you're in chains, you find joy. It's like what Malcolm said, like Novocaine. I mean, put us to sleep. I mean, we are cooked.
But that is the chains. The Jordans is the chains. The necklace is the chains, because it's making this person right here a happy slave. Those are the chains.
And they're proud. Look at them. He's standing in the jail cell like
happy
they're proud.
to be a slave. These people here, they know they are slaves, and they're not happy about it. But today, they condition us to be happy in our slavery. That's deep.
The sad part about it is chasing the Jordans probably got him in prison. Now he in prison with the Jordans and he happy. You done lost your freedom for the Jordans. You got the Jordans, you done lost your freedom, and now you're still happy. And it's just bad because part of it is essential for us to be able to live in this society, right? You need homes, you need food, you need clothing. Now you need a cell phone to be able to get around, right? Because everything is mobile and, done through apps and stuff. But so it's the brands that's, in control over our essential needs to be able to live in this society. And they kind of like, they fighting over us to see, which brand are you going to get, because you got to get something. You can't live in this society without a car. You can't live in this society without food. You can't live in this society without communication. So, like, which brand are you going to choose, right? And it's just sad to see, how far we go. And the brand becomes our identity, right? It be on our mind, it be on our heart, and we chase these things. It's just bad to see.
Peace. All power to the people. That's and chasing the brand, while the brand is chasing us into the penitentiary, or a part of the penitentiary, or sponsoring the penitentiaries. And you just see, like we were mentioning earlier, with the look on the ancestors. Like, I think whenever I look at just the side by side image, like they say, like the ancestors turning in their grave. People turning in their graves looking at this, like. But as it said, like, you will find like, was it Carter G. Woodson said, when you control a man's mindset, you don't got to worry about his actions. You don't got to worry about telling him to go to the back door. If you can tell him that it's his nature is the back door, he will go without questioning. If there isn't a back door, his very nature will command one, and he will make a back door for himself. So make a place for yourself where, if they're telling you it's underneath. So finding the Jordans is like when having Jordans is like having gold to this brother. That's what it looked like. Everything, if anything, and it's sad that the situation that we're in, versus, like, he's without, the only chains on his neck is the one he's putting on his neck, and the chains that's on his brother's neck is obviously chains that when you use the sign of having chains on is somebody's gonna break free. It don't look like he look like he gonna break free if he got off them chains. Like, they chained him up like he looks like he gonna break free, and it's just not there. And I just like, wow, when you see the mindset change. But there's no question. Let's get to the next slide. So from this, I gather why we lack. First disparity, lack of education. Second disparity, unequal wealth level within the black community, so-called black community. Third disparity, lack of intergenerational links. History is wealth. And if I can, hopefully this video has sound, I wanted to show a clip of the former founder, original Black Panther, Elaine Brown, speaking.
There are programs that are detrimental to the community that have been supported essentially by the city and put upon the people by the city with really very little understanding on the part of the board members. And there are programs such as the Senior Citizens Transportation Program, which we've mentioned, which we attempted to get pushed through this board or pushed through the city, which the city rejects through its various bureaucratic rules and so forth and so on. It's very difficult to talk about anything so concrete as someone here being given some side money. But it is very easy to see that the Model Cities program, after 3 years of operation in the city of Oakland and Westfield in particular, has done essentially nothing for the people other than put in some streets and a few bus stations that will protect people from the rain partially. So I definitely feel that that is directly related or indirectly related to the whole scheme of still attempting to make the party look as though we're a group of hoodlums or thugs or criminals.
We would hope we could pass more proposals of that sort. We'd have to know what it is the people want first, and then we would be able to have proposals given to the city council from their change.
Black Panther Party have been doing food and clothing people and feeding breakfast for children programs for over 2.5 years. With election time and now, this itself indicates that we'll be doing this beyond election times, but we'll be increasing the program on a massive quantitative scale, especially if we take seats, city council seats, or county board seats of any kind.
So these materials that will serve the interests of the people. For instance, programs for
Video.
There's one proposal that was brought up last night, as a matter of fact, that after the new members seated for the board, and that was to have a youth involvement program that would give drug counseling, medical care, psychiatric counseling, educational things like that.
Are you pleased with the results of that?
Bible Conference, Saturday, June 24th at the Oakland Auditorium. The Black Panther Party, with many other groups and organizations, has organized another community survival conference with 10,000 free full bags of groceries, while at the same time pushing the voter registration drive forward by hopefully registering over 10,000 voters and administering free 10,000 or more sickle cell anemia tests.
So we hear the. Let me show my screen. I got some videos that as we go through the slides you can play, but I'll get to them when we get to there. So free thinkers. I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. The reason why I have this quote from the late the ancestor, great ancestor, Harriet Tubman, is because it speaks to the fight of our elders, of our comrades of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, and what they had to go through just in the beginnings. You know, we're fighting all these PTSDs. We're fighting all these other entities that are looking to incarcerate us and hold us back. Now, I spoke on the prison industrial complex. It's just a further expansion of that today. What was going on back then. So they're combating all these things, and it left me in flux in the question: if we have all these things that are holding us back and stopping us, how were we able to fight? How are we able to do these things? And essentially, it comes down to having a free mindset, I mean, in the beginning. I mean, all the other works are necessary. But when Harriet Tubman said, I freed 1,000 slaves, I could have freed 1,000 more only if they knew they were slaves. Many of us are putting ourselves in a position that Willie Lynch benefits from by thinking you're a high-class Negro or someone else or you're a low class that you can't get above. It's not for you to benefit. We're wallowing in our traumas. And so it created the question for me, for me, and I ask y'all, are we still slaves? And we're going to do an activity as we get further into this, where we're going to do our own auction block of, are these people good for us or bad for us, meaning golden, or are they sold, meaning sellouts, and what these people and how it affects how we maneuver in our neighborhoods and our communities and how we communicate. And there's either their celebrity, their comments, and we're going to look at these things and we're going to dialogue. If anybody would like to speak directly to this quote from Harriet Tubman before I get into that, then let me know.
Are you want me to play the next video?
No, I'm not going to play it yet. I'm going to go to the next slide. So if nobody has no questions, I'm going to go to the next slide.
Wait, the next video is Young Thug, right?
No, it's Nina Simone.
Nina Simone? Okay, got it.
Right. So I'm gonna go to the image, and I'm gonna play a sound of Nina Simone, and I want you to know, well, from the person that you hear from her, is she gold or sold? Meaning gold meaning she's good for the people, or she's sold as if she's a sellout. So let's go to this next image, gold or sold, and I'll let you play the video.
An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I think that is true of painters, sculptors, poets, musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice. But I choose to reflect the times and the situations in which I find myself. That, to me, is my duty. And at this crucial time in our lives, when everything is so desperate, when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved. Young people, black and white, know this. That's why everybody is so involved in politics. We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all anymore. So I don't think you have a choice. How can you be an artist and not reflect the time? That, to me, is the definition of an artist.
So, listening to Nina Simone, is Nina Simone gold or sold? Anybody know who Nina Simone is?
All celebrities sell out to me.
Okay. So she's still a sellout.
I knew you was going to say that, Ma.
I mean, her words say she's not. I mean, her words don't speak to selloutish, but I don't know what her deeds speak to. What happened? What he said? I don't know. Oh, repeat what you said, Ibrahim.
I said I knew you was gonna say that. I was just waiting on it. I would have to judge her by the message, because as she was talking, I was hearing Malcolm X interview where he was talking about the musicians as she was talking. So it's one, because she's saying that musicians and artists, you got to get involved. This is the 50s and the 60s, right? It was no way for you not to get involved. It was separate but equal, right? You had extreme Jim Crow, redlining, all of that, right? Chitlin Circuit, blah, blah, blah. There was no way for you to assimilate into mainstream America. So you couldn't live in their communities. Many couldn't play in their communities. You couldn't date their women. You was not getting endorsed by them, period. The most that they would do is like your music, and then have somebody pat something. They would, if they like your music or their artistry, a white person would then spill it and then make it, give the mayonnaise version of it. But that message for that time is true because you don't have another option. But I will go further to say, when you have people that's not educated, on the struggle and willing to make a sacrifice, and when they do get a different option, you don't get a young thug without getting people like that, right? So they kind of gave blueprint. Like, that message is 100 for those times, but you don't have another option, right? It's pretty much you go out and just be an extreme sellout, right, and plead for the white man to let you in and lift you up above your people, which they not going to do, or for you to be who everybody expects you to be and get down with your people. You know, like, that's part of the takeaway from a lot of things that happened in previous generations, that they didn't have a window of opportunity to be an extreme sellout like a 50 Cent, a Puff Daddy, a Jay-Z, or something like that, right? There was a ceiling on it. Now the ceiling has raised up, and the bottom has went even lower. So now you have more opportunities. But, like, I kind of agree with that message, because you don't have, like, what's the other option during those times?
No. In general, yeah. No, but it's like, yo, if you're not building institutions, everything you're saying is just talking. Like, when she talked, like, you could just say Dave Chappelle the same thing. People today will be like, oh, Dave Chappelle, he speak power, he talk about we should do this, we should do that. But at the end of the day, who's paying these people? Who's making them rich? Who's keeping them rich? Yo, I could go in there and go look at where she performed at. I guarantee you she performed in countries that the CIA went in there and killed those leaders in those countries. And she was the front. She was the headlining entertainer that enabled the CIA to come into that space. I forgot where. I got to go look it up. But I guarantee you, all these places where they make their money at, whoever pay you controls you. So you could talk to me about all the stuff that we know is true. But if you're not doing nothing to do anything about it, yo, I hold you accountable. Like right now, I bet you Dave Chappelle gave money to Farrakhan. You see, I don't know. I don't know what they did, but I guarantee you he gave money to Farrakhan, because that's what these celebrities do. They give money to people like Farrakhan, and that money is supposed to show like they're revolutionary, they're down for the cause, even though they're the ones like are the seamstresses to our suffering. I mean, but yeah, man, all of them. I see them as I see her as just another sellout too.
But that's a good message for her, right?
One more person. The first person that he showed, what's her name? Harriet Tubman. Yo, Harriet Tubman worked for the North. Harriet Tubman wasn't no revolutionary. She was an institutionalist. You see, we've been conditioned our whole lives to think that Harriet Tubman was a revolutionary, like she fought for black people. I could have saved so many. She probably meant some that didn't go with her to join the party of Abraham Lincoln. I mean, these people, if you're not talking about building your own institution to serve the people, everything you say to me is either you're ignorant, because if you think going to change the system, reform the system, is going to make it work better, you're ignorant. If you think joining the system is going to change anything, you're ignorant. Your actions may not be malfeasance, or you may not be that the same man. You know what? I'm going to leave it there. I don't trust anything that these people say.
So
Ibrahim will say something. Ibrahim, you say something. Say something.
Yeah, my thing is this. Like, these people control the playing fields, right? They create the game and how the game is played, the rules and everything. So when you want somebody to be radical, you create the limits of radical. So you'll put her up there so they don't go to Oakland and maybe listen to some Black Party Panther members. So they don't go down south and listen to, some people who was doing good work down there. Like, you create the limits of what you want radical to be and look like. So they implement people that they pay for that's bought and controlled by them. So the levers of power, like white supremacy is always refining itself. So you got to think about that. They want us to listen to Dave Chappelle, right, and think of Dave Chappelle as radical. Think of Colin Kaepernick as radical. So you don't listen to voices out here who's really doing the work and pushing the boundaries for us to be free. And we just got to keep that in mind, right? they have control of the levers of power, and they get to implement what not the voices in our community, right? But they do get to make, take those voices that they deem to be what they want to be and elevate them and give them a status and make them influencers so they can influence as many minds as possible. Now, if you go and try to have a conversation about Kaepernick or Jay-Z or 50 Cent, man, people will shout you down from the rooftops and say, man, LeBron James is like one of the greatest revolutionaries of our time because he has the academy that's a private school that's not even owned by him. I mean, a public school, my fault. It's a public charter school. It's not even owned or ran by him. He's just a part of the board, right? But they'll shout you down, even though everybody at that school can't read, right? Can't do math on the grade level. So, like, they get to put the tokens in position for us to then follow, and we feed into it and actually think, like, man, this is the most liberal voices. This is the most radical voices. This is the most conservative voices because they create the parameters for what we can and can't be and what we strive to be.
Peace. Speak. All power to the people. So we're going to keep going on with this option. So we basically agreed that first sisters that was speaking, y'all agreed that they're sellout. They sold out for whatever reasons that we mentioned. So we can all, like, the whole point of this having a discussion is to not fully agree on one thing, but, to come to a consensus and talk about these things, about what these people mean for us. Now, the next image, I'm pretty sure many of y'all are going to probably say the same thing about Young Thug. He's a sellout, but I want to show something specifically because it's very important to what's happening now, because now we got things like Young Thug and 21 Savage and all these people talking about F the streets. But when he wasn't going through the situation that he was going through, he had a certain response to Mike Brown and the Black Lives Matter, even though I'm not a fan of Black Lives Matter, but just the social issues that were going on in the community. General Secretary, if you could play it, I'll stop sharing.
They're doing a special on Mike Brown, the Ferguson situation. What do you think needs to be changed in the way Black men are policed in America?
See that up with the critics and the laws and all that other shit. We having fun, we iced out, we having money. Is how we're doing it.
Do you feel like it's not the artist's place to speak on social issues?
No.
So from what he said is Young Thug, gold or soul. If we already said that, the artist's gonna play in their position or whatever that they play in there, is he gold or soul? And if y'all see in the background, it said BET Awards 2014. So that's 10 years, over 12 years ago now at this point. You know what I mean? A new year, and he wasn't going through some of the stuff that he's going through now or has gone through at that time. So, what do y'all think about from what he said and from some of the things that we've been talking about so far now, about with the artistry and some of those other things? Somebody had their mic open, you can speak.
This may be contrary to popular opinion, but the same way we judge Nina Simone, like not from the life that she lived, but just based on that one clip. Actually, what Young Thug said is in alignment with what Malcolm X said. He said, "Don't listen to us." I remember when Meek Mill first got out of jail or prison, his first interview on the Breakfast Club, they was asking him, since he made this album that his fans been waiting for him to make for so many years. And with I think it was the George Floyd protest going on at the time, they was asking him, is he willing to stand up and speak to some of these issues? And he said, I'm willing to speak, but only if I don't have to put any of my business on the line. Like, the moment I got to make a sacrifice, I'm going to fall back because I'm not trying to make no sacrifice. Now, if you just want me to speak to some issues without no blowback, I'm cool. But the moment you want me to make a sacrifice, I'm out. That should be left up to the people who are willing is strong enough to make the sacrifices. So, I mean, we got to believe people when they say who we are. He's telling you, I don't want to speak to these issues. I'm iced out. I'm getting money. We partying. And that's what I want to do. I want to be a court jester. Just let me be a court jester. And I agree with him. Stop asking these dudes these questions in the first place. So I think not him as a person, but that message, golden.
To speak to that, because I followed the Young Thug case, he said that, and he said that because that was the you know, of course he's protecting his interests. But when he went through his court case, it was the people he was begging for support. It was the people that he was begging them to come to the court and support him in court. It was the people on YouTube, these people that have, like us, that have podcasts, begging them to share his story, to make light, show, you know, broadcast the injustices that him and some people were facing in court, which they were facing, just like everybody, any black person that goes to court, any regular black, they was facing the same injustices. But he was begging the people for support, and the people gave him support. So again, these celebrities, they use the people when they need the people, and they use the people to get rich and go move to the suburbs and not say anything to the conditions that is affecting the people. But once they get in trouble, now they need the people. Now they're here for the causes. They're here to fight for the black man and all that stuff. Same thing with Chappelle. Chappelle don't care about the people. At this point, he don't even need our money. That's why he's so brazen and blatant in his speech when he says that he's a capitalist, fuck the people, I'm gentrifying, I don't care about affordable housing, blah, blah, blah. He can speak all those things because he already got all your money. He don't need your support anymore. He has a whole white town in wherever he lives with his Asian wife and mixed children. So he will never need us for anything. So I need the people to stop celebrating and worshiping these celebrities because they don't care. They're not doing nothing for you, and they will never do anything for you. If any cause they come and ask you to support, it's because it's going to benefit them. Same thing with the Beyoncés. Same thing with I don't care what color these celebrities are. They do not care. And we as people, no matter what color we are, the oppressed people, we need to start recognizing that. And anybody that comes to your face talking about, oh, Chappelle or Beyonce, they fight for the you need to, like, smack them with some reality. Like, enough is enough with these people. They're not helping us. They're not building institutions. They're not helping your children. They don't care if your lights are off. They don't care if the slumlord kicks you out and raises your rent. They don't care about none of that stuff. So we need to stop supporting them and highlighting them and the Black misleadership class, all these fake politicians. Like, we are literally running into World War III. The America done just took somebody president talking about they locking them up. Where are the black politicians at on this? We're like, who's to say he can't come to Newark and lock up your mayor or lock up your whoever he wants to lock up? Like, where are these? Because they don't care about the people. All they care about their political lives, the people that they're donors. Same thing with the celebrities. So, like, people, y'all, we got to start waking up and start doing for ourselves and building these institutions. Because at the end of the day, that's all we got is ourselves. It's people power.
I do believe there is a job of black celebrity, and that job is to do what Harry Belafonte did in the 60s. Harry Belafonte was invited to JFK's White House, and he knew that he was ill-equipped to have the conversation because I'm just an actor. So he called MLK, and MLK called some of the Big Six, and then they went and had the conversation, and that ended up leading to the civil rights legislation that got passed. My thing is that, like, we know these people is ignorant. Many of them only got a high school diploma, if that, right? And they just here to make their money and do whatever they white paymasters tell them to do. I think we should stop asking them the questions, but when they do get the questions, right, they should be connected with somebody in their community that's really doing organizational work, that's trying to free the people. if you're going to have a conversation with this person. Because this is a person that's really 10 toes down for the people, trying to build institutions, trying to enlighten the youth, like really trying to bring about forms of liberation that can sustain us. I think, like, if there is a role for black celebrity, that's the role. Not to get up there and start asking these questions yourself, because for one, you're going to make yourself look like a fool. You're going to make us look like a fool. And at the end of the day, like, why talk to a football player about basketball? You're going to talk to him about football. If I'm going to talk to an artist or an entertainer, I'm going to talk to an artist or an entertainer about their artistry, not about socio-political or socio-economic woes in the community, right? A lot of them have been plucked from that bottom caste, and they get to peruse, in mainstream America for however long white society wants them up there until they kick them out and bring them back down to us. But, like, that's the only, like, lane I see for a black celebrity, then and now.
Peace, all power to the people. I appreciate y'all responses on that, and I'm gonna keep this going because we, keeping the conversation going. We're talking about the black celebrity and the place of the black celebrity, and understanding. We have an understanding of where the place is, but there's also with doing the works that we do. How do we separate the celebrity? The image, right? Because I've heard people come across as I got some images in here. And back in the day, you might have heard old heads say, I was a Panther back in the day. Now, they really wasn't a Panther, but they wore the attire. They was, I was in the nation. I was doing these things, but I just couldn't stop doing this. Or, so that they connect with the celebrity part. But then when times got hard, they were able to separate from that. Whereas I still see today, people attach to negative celebrities, the celebrities, and they still attach. And these celebrities are going to jail, getting locked up, getting caught up with issues, but we're still copying, mirroring the negative image, the negative parts of the celebrity, but not focusing on the celebrity using it for to bring people together. Like almost like you mentioned with the Harry Belafonte story, how he was able to use his celebrity to bring other people on, board to get things done. It's that mix between, using the celebrity for, they say, good, and using the celebrity for bad, and then using it for good and making sure that good is applied to helping the peoples and not just themselves or whatever. And like you said, many of them are in places where they don't even know who they are, who they're going to be, or being plucked from a certain type of place. But that leads to this next image, next person here. We all know who this guy is.
I was drugged out, bro. I was drugged out.
What you're about to see comes with a warning.
Please. 2 days before I was in the hospital, I was on opioids. I was addicted to opioids.
No, it's not especially graphic or obscene. It's just all very Kanye.
Do you feel that I'm feeling? Do you feel that I'm being free and I'm thinking free?
In fact, maybe the most Kanye thing since...
I'll let you finish. Well, Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
Or...
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Today, Wes was sharing his love for a different president on TMZ.
He just loved Trump. That's my boy.
But that was just the tip of the iceberg from an interview that will surely be talked about for years.
Plastic surgery because I was trying to look good for y'all. I got liposuction because I didn't want y'all to call me fat like y'all called Rob at the wedding and made him fly home before me and Kim got married. I didn't want y'all to call me fat, so I got liposuction.
Plastic surgery, he says, that came with a prescription for painkillers. That was followed by addiction, then that 2016 breakdown.
I was taking 2 pills a day at that time.
When I left the hospital, how many pills you think I was given? 7.
Then there was that thing Wes said about slavery.
You hear about slavery for 400 years? For 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all?
That was the comment that crossed the line for at least one TMZ staffer.
We have to deal with the marginalization that has come from the 400 years of slavery that you said for our people was a choice. And brother, I am unbelievably hurt by the fact that you have morphed into something, to me, that's not real.
So slavery is a choice. We got Kanye West. Back to Kanye West. Here, we go back to the screen. Slavery a choice. Is Kanye West gold or sold on that comment? Is slavery a choice?
Well, we know from the teachings and from your presentation today that it obviously wasn't a choice. Is it a choice today?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not a choice today either because we're not free. But there are people out there that think they are free. Are there people choosing to believe that they're not slaves? That I can agree with.
So you're saying that people are choosing to not be a slave even though they are enslaved?
No, they're not choosing to not. You cannot not be a slave. That's the condition that we're in. We're under slavery.
I'm saying even though they're enslaved, they're choosing not to be a slave, even though they are going through.
No, they're choosing to believe they're not slaves.
Right.
They're choosing to believe they're not, but they are.
So I wanted to speak to something that maybe somebody could speak to it. When the brother was speaking and talking to Kanye West, if y'all noticed, Kanye West was making certain type of faces and mannerisms, and he was saying almost as like he was like I feel like he was kind of like begging him to change his mind, and Kanye West is looking at him like, you know, you sound crazy, I don't sound crazy, you sound crazy. What do y'all do? Do you think that Kanye West is so, like, almost like with the Philadelphia Negro concept, he believes he's so far above and ahead other peoples that his idea of slavery is a choice, or he's doing this on purpose, like just like saying it just to make it, just to have a statement?
You had spoke on people being what they consider to be paper panthers, right? A lot of dudes walking around with dashikis on now, baby boomers, who said that they were Black Panthers back in the day, but there's no evidence of that. Donda West has a very convoluted history where she fit this description, an English major, a PhD. I think she was on the board of like Chicago State or something like that. But I say all this to say, like, his mother, the woman he loved, the woman who, he found out later took him away from his father and raised him all to her own and instilled in him this sense of Black pride. When Kanye got the money, Kanye flipped out a little bit, but his mother, the one who grounded him, she died going to something like that.
Damn, hey yo, he breaking up. We can't even hear him. I want him to finish that too. Can y'all hear me? Nah, nobody. I don't think they can hear him. Hey, Ibrahim, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you now, yo. That the last part you said about his mother, the last part, we missed it. Let me see. I'm gonna mute myself. Try again. Try to say that last part again.
Yeah, I don't know where I cut off, but I'm saying like a lot of us grew up like Kanye West. Well, our mother,
it ain't working, my guy.
red, black, and
Yeah, we got to get. Don't say nothing, Ibrahim. We got to get better audio. We got to do something with the audio, man, because like, I hate missing what somebody is saying, man. But I think the gist of what you were saying is his mother who grounded him. I mean, like, I think you're trying to say, like, when he got money and he went away from her, like, what she taught him. Is that where you was going?
Well, if I could say this real quick before I cut out, imagine your mother getting caught up in the limelight. Like, the person who grounded you and supposed to keep you stable and sane, imagine her getting caught up. She got caught up in the LA light, and that's the point. So that's why he's so conflicted. His anchor became unhooked.
All power to the people. I understand what you're saying. I think I get it now. But from the beginning, I was going to disagree with you before I ended up agreeing with you at the end after you finished. His mother, like, what did she do? She was an academic. She was a teacher. She taught in the system. She wasn't poor. She was middle class. Everything about her spoke to me about the managerial Negro. When I heard about his mother, what do I mean about the managerial Negro? They're doing Kwanzaa. Everybody been doing Kwanzaa, going around doing that. What's his name? What's my name? Karenga, doing that Karenga stuff all them different days. These are the people that work in the same universities, in the same schools that's miseducating our children. But they want to show us that they're so pro-black, that they're more pro-black than us. When in actuality, they're the seamstresses, telefitting our pain every single day. And on some level, they know it too. I mean, so it's like Kanye. I don't see no contradiction in what Kanye doing. I don't see no contradiction on the brother that tried to say something. That brother is a liberal. He's a Democrat. He's speaking to democratic values. He's not speaking to black revolutionary values. Kanye, at that moment, was speaking to conservative values. So you have a Democrat and a conservative going back and forth. Neither one of them speak for us. Neither one of them. Because like he said, slavery had to be a choice 400 years. Okay. How do black people change that? The only way, and if anybody prove me wrong, I'll give you $100. The only way a group of people, ethnicity, race, whatever, change their condition is by a select group of people building institutions and then showing the path to uplift the masses of the people. It is never organically everybody just wake up and say, I'm not a slave no more. I don't care what mass is saying. There got to be somebody that put that Underground Railroad together. Somebody that had that foresight that said, yo, I'm about to go find some more people that want to do this. And we need to put this together. Everybody don't be with it. There's always leadership in every race, every group, every nationality, wherever you go. There's a small group of people, those with the means. And we reading the Philadelphia Negro. We reading Du Bois. Not once in our history has there been that group of people that said we are going to build this liberation to free black people. All their moves have always been to bring us into the system. If we run to the north, if you go to the north, you're going to be free. You're going to join the system over there, you're going to be free. There is never something that says, hey, yo, nobody got to pay us. We're not taking no money. We're going to use our own money, and we're going to build institutions to liberate our people. We haven't had that since we came off the slave ships. Period. We're going to build free institutions in all the communities that our people are in. And we're going to educate those people and teach those people how to liberate themselves. Kanye got the money. You're about to show Oprah. Oprah got the money. Candace got the money. All these different people got the money. But they will not invest in our people. They will say stuff like, after 400 years, if you're still a slave, it's your fault. How does that work? I mean, because which goes back to why we shouldn't be listening to any of these people. Why Malcolm told us not to listen to no celebrity, even if her name is Nina Simone or Dick Gregory. Don't listen or Chappelle. Don't listen to no celebrity. That's the key term, celebrity. I mean, because it goes against who they are for them to be fighting for the people. They are there to confuse the people. All power to the people.
All power to the people. So next, I have the image up here of Candace Owens. I'm pretty sure y'all know who she is. You could play the video Black Americans Are Taught. Candace Owens.
African American culture, you think that in these classrooms when you're taking African American studies, you're learning about Black history. I have never in my entire life seen Black people more ignorant about their history than today, right? What they're actually teaching them is how to constantly see yourself as oppressed and how to see yourself through the vein of white people, like I said before, game of opposites. Well, the reason why you're not getting ahead in life is not because you can't read, and we won't teach you how to read or teach you how to write or teach you how to learn any science, but because of the color of your skin and because of white people, which you need to go out and attack. And you're never attacking the one thing that's disadvantaging you the most. This is the same for women, right? It is an entire theory built upon the idea that the color of your skin determines your outcome, and it is causing friction in our society. It is not because of racial disparities. It is because people are being taught to think in a way that is going to always make them race to the bottom. So there you are.
Grifter. What do y'all think about what she said? I picked these clips. I picked them for a reason because I noticed some things in there that she's trying to gain merit from, and some things are exaggerated. If anybody can pull out the exaggerations, or if they have any direct response or responses to about Candace Owens.
Before anybody go, I just want to say good job here, Sham. Good job. You're doing a great job here, Sham. I'm digging your show, my guy. Word up. Yo, so I want more people to interact. Let's talk. So we just heard what Candace said. Candace said we're taught that our blackness is the issue, and if we learn that our blackness is not the issue, then we're going to be good. So anybody got something to say?
Can I say something real quick? Because I know I keep chatting and stuff because I was at work. So personally, I feel like coming from the perspective of, I guess, someone that grew up similar to Candace Owens in a sense, like the Black suburban kid, you kind of have the battle of two fights in a sense, because you have to fight with your own community as far as your blackness and how connected you are to it, because your address doesn't change your struggle. So, and a lot of times as Black suburban kids, we're only one generation removed from, what's actually happening in our community. So it's just like when you have family that are living in it and, dealing with it and things like that, but then you don't live that same lifestyle, but your parents come from it. So it doesn't remove the habits or, the mindset or the things that you're taught and everything like that. And at the same time, though, you have to deal with people that did not grow up with their parents one generation removed. So you're looked down on in your community, and you're looked down on by your own people. So it's like you're kind of left in that isolated lane as to which side do I kind of lean into more. And I think that with Candace, the thing that she didn't have the right people around her, because with me, my father was in prison for 20 years. He came home. He ran a prisoners resource center in Newark. He was in his community. So irregardless of us where we lived, his duty was making sure that the men in his community and the young boys in his community didn't fall into the same, pattern that he went into. That was his mission. He didn't care nothing about my mother and what she wanted to assimilate to and the image that's your business. My father, he was involved in the Million Man March. We had dinners with Farrakhan. We went through all of but the whole thing for me was the message of it all, and really seeing the flip coin of both sides of, I guess, the situation. With her is what I find is that she tries to assimilate to white people because that's where the money is, and you lose sight of who you are when it starts coming into, things like that. I was here to kind of learn, and I'm gonna go back on mute though, but I just wanted to say that where we grow up at is not. We used to have the battle of both, and I think that she kind of just, she went the wrong direction in a sense. I'm sorry.
That's peace. Appreciate your response.
Sorry, sis.
Yo, there's no reason to be sorry. Nah, you hit a few topics. Like, there's a few places we could go with that. You hit a few topics. But even if we going back to what she said we are raised to believe that black is the problem. I'm going to start with that black is the problem. Once we learn that black is not the problem, that we can be able to achieve. That's basically what her narrative was. Okay, now say like, I disagree. That's not it. Because even if you learn that black is not the problem, you're still going to have to deal with racism. If you're a woman, if you think women is not the problem, you're still going to have to deal with patriarchy. All these isms, all this stuff is baked into imperialism to keep us divided. The only way you solve that is by the people themselves building institutions that don't have those biases. And like when we keep saying institutions, most people don't see institutions the way we understand them to be. Institutions are like the schools that you send your child to. That's an institution. That school is there to teach your child every single day what is important, what language they should be speaking, how they should behave to be able to survive in this world. Those are not our schools. Those are imperialist schools. The schools that by and large teaches all these isms, this racism, this classism. They all teach us that stuff. You want to change the condition of the people, you build your own institutions, which can be done. It is not impossible, bro, for motherfuckers to build schools without the government. You could build them in our houses. We could start small. We could pull our money and do it. But the people have never done that. So if somebody is growing up in a suburban area where their lifestyle is different, and the people that's in the hood is looking at them like they think they're bougie, they think they're better, they think this, they think that. Why? Because both of those people in the suburbs and in the hood are both being produced by the same institutions that's teaching them their values. If we had our own institutions, they probably wouldn't have even moved into the suburbs. They probably would have stayed there because they're the most disciplined, most qualified, with the most resources to be able to build up that community. See, that's the argument that the Panthers are making. What they call it, brain drain. When you take away all the smart people from out the society and you take them somewhere else, you leave all the what? The drug dealers, the people the drug users, the people that don't have the necessary tools to be able to build the society that they want. And that's why it is so hard. So just imagine if you're in that space and you're talking black power. You're talking liberation. You're talking about walking away from these institutions. Everybody in that space is going to look at you like you're crazy. What is he talking about? But that doesn't mean you leave. You understand why they're looking at you like you're crazy, like why they're looking at you like counterculture. You understand and you accept that. And then you build the institutions that is needed to be able to liberate the people. So you could go that path, which is work, which is like this is actual work, a way of life that you do every day to bring about results. Or you could just go with Candace and be like, yeah, the problem is that we don't think black is the issue. We're going to be successful. Let's see how far that take you. Let's see where that take you, because we all know the world we live in. Bro, I'm going to keep saying it. They just blew up Nigeria. They just went over there, just dropped bombs in Nigeria. There's no rule of law. They just went yesterday and just picked up a president out of his home in his nightgown with his wife and locked him up. It's not what you do. What you do has nothing to do with how this system operates. And understanding that comes from building institutions that teach you that from when you're young. Not try to undo it. I know I'll be going on for a minute, man. My bad. But I got to get the whole thought out so it makes sense. I don't want to just say part of it. All power to the people. And Asada, whenever you want to talk, you're always welcome. And bring stuff through the week. Bring stuff through the week you want to talk about. Anybody can host this show, baby. Anybody can. All power to the people. That's the name of the show.
Yeah, that's it. This is the people.
This is the people show. Ibrahim, if you still here, you still here. Anybody, you want to host the show? Put the stuff out. Let's talk about it. Let's have this conversation. Because only by us talking and communicating can we change stuff. All power to the people. I'm loving this show, man. Let's go, my boy. Yo, you're doing a great job there, Sham. Did I say that already?
Let's keep on going. We got a few more of these. Barack Obama. Barack Obama hurt black people. Now, there's a video we're going to show that's connected to this by another elder on here, and I don't know if y'all know who the elder is, but we're going to talk about the video, and then we're going to talk about Barack Hussein Obama, or whatever. He got like 30 different names. So let's play the video real quick.
Gotcha.
Obama being president. But Barack Obama is a joke. Barack wasn't do a darn thing for black folks. Matter of fact, he hurt black folk in two ways. First of all, he had 8 years to do something for black folk, but he carefully and judiciously involved and judiciously avoided doing anything for black folk. And most of my white friends told me in politics, and I was always with president governors, they say, hey, we would never vote for Obama. We know he's going to do something for black folk. We knew he would never do anything for black folk. Mm-hmm. And so, but that's the first thing. He never did anything for black folk. But he used that old thing that they did back in Philadelphia in 1789. He used very broad, ambiguous terms. I'm the president of all the people.
They like to say a rising tide lifts all boats.
That's a stupid thing.
Yeah, because the black people boat got a hole in it.
That's right. It's in the bottom of the damn rig.
Yeah.
Stop. hey, hold on. Let me stop shit. I'm trying to do this real quick. Right there. Active speaker. And then big. Hey, yo. Nah, I'm unmuted already. What you call it? Okay, if you don't know who that is, most of you here most likely do. But I'm going to say it anyway for the people on YouTube, internet, whatever that's going to see it. That's Claude Anderson. Claude Anderson, he wrote a book. I can't remember the name of the book. Powernomics. And he's like telling black people like what path we should take to be able to liberate ourselves, to change the conditions in our community. That's basically what his spiel is. And he was just talking about Obama just now. Hey, yo, Claude Anderson was a politician. He worked in the system his entire life. At one point, I believe he was in charge of the education system in Florida, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yo, in Florida, the whole time, his whole life in government, all the money that he made, everything that he got, he has done nothing to change the condition of black people. He has put together no institution, built nothing. If you ask them, there's other videos of him where he is explaining where black people got to get this, black people got to get this, like the people in like the black businesses in the community, you need more black businesses. Basically, that's his spiel. You need more black businesses. He's not talking about the masses of the people. His ideology or his philosophy is limited to the black people that have, the managerial class. And what did he do for black people? And this is supposed to be the counter to Obama. They ain't doing that. Yo, we agree. As black people, we agree. Most black people, I don't think all black people agree that Obama didn't do nothing for black people. But we agree that Obama didn't do nothing. But you can't have this person be the spokesman either. Because then what is his solution? And then people will follow that solution. Whatever solution that he bringing, people will follow like that's the path. But the whole time, they're being bamboozled and hoodwinked again, which is exactly why institutions are like the most important thing that we can invest our lives into building, because they stop all of this. They stop all this. But you know what? I'm going too far. Go ahead, Shan.
No, you right on point. I mean, part of the reason why I put these pieces together is because you have conflicting people or non-conflicting people or people we may not know of making certain statements. And if, they saying some of the right stuff, but coming from sometimes the wrong people at the wrong time, in order their basis of what they're standing on is correct and true. It's just they don't fully represent those things. So they represent a certain part of that. And he even spoke to that was going on in Philadelphia. He knows about obviously the Philadelphia Negro, but even prior to, the making about what it took to make some of these people. So a lot of it, I tend to take that some of these people, they know their powers and they know that they may not be in a position to speak to the downtrodden people because they've been in positions where they haven't worked with the average person. Like they're so disconnected. And even when we talking about Kanye West, the people that person having somebody that keeps you grounded, for some of these people, that losing that person separates them from where the masses are. And I think, if you listen to Claude Anderson, he makes a lot of key and great points. But the demographic of people that he's speaking to, or black people that he's speaking to, are not in a position to do some of the things. And he's in a better position to make some of those things happen to come together. But I don't think he's just, he doesn't know how to speak to the lumpen proletariat. He's speaking to a whole different groups of people when he talks about some of these points that he makes. But with that said, got any comments or responses before I go to the next slide?
I'll just say this. Dr. Claude Anderson, he was like the Secretary of Education. I don't know what the exact title was over Florida in the 1970s. And then he worked for a couple of United States presidents. And when it came time for him to try to build institutions, he didn't go to the white folks that he worked for the whole time. He went to the community of Detroit, found the black bank, took their money, and then ran off with it and filed bankruptcy. So they'll say one thing, they'll talk a good game, and I'm not saying like he's a bad person, don't listen to him, blah blah blah. I'm just saying the truth, right? Like you spent all of that time at the highest levels of politics with the richest and the wealthiest people and those who have access to wealth. But then when it came time to build institutions and get money, you came back to your people and had us take all of the risk. What's the use of having access if you can't bring anything back to your community? That's the issue that I have with him and people like him. You want to point the finger at Obama, and rightfully so, but we point the finger at you. You was there before Obama. Like, you were supposed to bring something back to us, more than a book for us to buy, and more than some speeches for us to attend. And just, that's the issue that I have with a lot of people, and I'm not, like, disparaging anybody that grew up on the other side of the tracks. But to those who are given more is supposed to be able to, we supposed to be able to attain more from, heavy is the head that wears a crown. And I'm just not seeing, what the trade-off is for having people grow up more stable and having more access, like Dr. Claude Anderson.
Facts. Peace, all power to the people. And I think that's important to speak to because, like we said, we previously said, and I'm not going to talk over your words, but that's definitely important to be able to distinguish and be able to speak to, because many of our people, we get caught up in the magic in people's words or status. And so, he's saying some good things that sound good at period of time and intervals and things that could be used. But when you look at the person who's making the makes of it, you end up, having to call them out. And many of the times those people don't like to be called out, or other people don't want to call them out because of their status, where they're at or where they were at. So with that said, let's go to the next slide. We have, everybody know who this is.
Who is this?
Everybody know who this is. You know who this is? This LaShawn Parrish Crooks. This Tupac. So we have a clip. We have Tupac talk Donald Trump. We gotta play the whole thing. We only got a couple more people, and then we're gonna end out the slide presentation. But we talking about these people, entertainment, and it's important that I'm getting the clips or whatever of them talking, so we can speak around different talking points about them and not just look at an image and make our own assertions. But just key talking points that they made. So let me stop sharing, so then we can look at this clip.
I don't mean in the ideal sense. I mean in every day, every little thing you do. It's such a gimme. Everybody back off. Everybody's like, you taught that from school, everywhere. Big business. You want to be successful? You want to be like Trump? Gimme. Push. Step. Crush. That's how it all is. And it's like, nobody ever stopped. Just, I feel like Instead of us just being like, slavery's bad, bad whitey. I mean, all right, let's stop that. And everybody's smart enough to know that, I mean, we've been slighted, and we want ours. And I don't mean by, like, ours, 40 acres in the mule, because we're past that. But we need help. I mean, for us to be on our own 2 feet, us meaning youth or us meaning black people, whatever you want to take it for us to be on our own 2 feet, we do need help. Because we have been here. We have been a good friend. If you want to make it a relationship type thing, we have been there, and now we deserve our payback. It's like you got a friend that you don't never look out for. You know, you dressed up in jewels. Now Americans got jewels, and they paid and everything, and they lending money to everybody except us. And it's like, you know, everybody need a little help on their way to being, you know, self-reliant. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing about the album, about the Special Olympics. Everybody need a little something, and they to be independent. No independent person just grew up and was born independent. You worked and you learned teamwork and you learned cooperation and unity and struggle, and then you became independent. And we have to teach that and instill that. And why is it that they want to do that? I mean, if this is truly a melting pot in the country where we care about it, and Lady Liberty got a hand like this, she really loves us, then we really need to be like that. And it needs to be the black kids. If there's a white person who got money, then he need to help them. He need to help black kids, Mexican kids, Korean kids, whatever. But it need to be real. And it need to be before we all die, and then you say, oh, I made a mistake. We should have gave them some money. We really should have helped these folks. It's going to be too late. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when you got to pay your own karma. And that's when God make you punish. When God punishes you. Because I feel like, you know, it's too much money here. I mean, nobody should be hitting lotto for $36 million and we got people starving in the streets. That is not idealistic. That's just real. That is just stupid. There's no way Michael Jackson should have, or whoever Jackson, should have $1 million, $1 billion, and then there's people starving. There's no way. There's no way that these people should own planes and their people don't have houses, apartments, shacks, drawers, pants. If they earned it, I think that that's good. I think that they deserve it. But even if you earned it, you still owe. Because look at me, I don't have that mega money, but I feel guilty walking by somebody. I gotta give them some mail. And if I know I got $3,000 in my pocket, I feel like it's wrong to give that person a quarter or $1. It's wrong. Only you know what you got in your pocket. And that's wrong. No matter what they do, if they take it and drink it, they take it and drink it. But I mean, you got. You understand? And we all know how hard it is, and it's not about if you good or you bad. So since it's not about if you good or you bad, we know that because he don't got don't mean he was bad. Or don't mean he's a criminal, or don't mean he's crazy, or a drug addict, or none of that. It just means he don't got. And ain't it bad that you got 30? I mean, can you imagine somebody having $32 million? $32 million. And this person has nothing, and you can sleep. You can still go to the movies about, I mean, and then these are the type of people that get humanitarian awards. Millionaires. How can they be humanitarians by the fact that they're millionaires and there's so many poor people shows how unhumane they are. Not saying that when I'm never going to be rich. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying it's a struggle.
Hey, yo.
And I think there's a way to pay these people. I think there is a way. It just takes to be revolutionary. And it takes to do something out of the ordinary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that if we just said, okay. I got an idea.
Good.
No more porno buildings. You know what I'm saying? Let's build houses. Or no more polo games. Let's build houses for poor people. You know what I'm saying? Or, look, okay, I know you're rich. I know you got $40 billion. But can you just keep it to one house? You only need one house. And if you only got 2 kids, can you just keep it to 2 rooms? I mean, why have 52 rooms and you know there's somebody with no room? It just don't make sense to me. It don't. And then these people celebrate Christmas. They got big trees, huge trees, all the little trimmings. Everybody got gifts, and then somebody's starving. And they're having a white Christmas. They're having a great Christmas, eggnog and the whole nine. That's not fair to me. This world is such a...
So, what do y'all think about what he was saying? You know, this is another artist, but we know he has ties to BLA. He has ties to our own movements or family. What do you think about Tupac and Tupac's response? He's talking about Donald Trump. It's crazy. This is 1993, 1992. What do y'all think about?
Like I think 20, 21, 22 at this time.
Possibly. Yeah. I'm thinking, dang, 21. I was like 3 years old, 3 years old. I wasn't even really thinking about nothing. But this, speaks. But if you want to say something directly to it, you could speak, brother. I mean, comrade.
I know Norman. So this is complicated for me because this speech is golden, and we know where this speech comes from. This speech comes from his upbringing as a Panther Cub. And then later on, he becomes an entertainer, and then he dies at the age of 25. So he's like just so young. And for me to judge this properly, I would have to take myself at 25 and say, what would Ibrahim be saying at 21, 22 years old, right? I just think Tupac was ahead of his time in a sense of how he saw things and how he interpreted his vision. He was special. I think you also got to take the situation down in Atlanta where he didn't know they were undercover cops. He just seen two white men beating on a black guy, and he jumped into action even as a celebrity and risking his freedom and his livelihood and everything. And I think this is also why you don't listen to black celebrity, because they're not talking like this, and they're not willing to take the sacrifices that a young 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old person like him would take. So, like, it's sad. I think Muhammad Ali had a speech about some snakes coming into the house and what snakes is the good snakes and what snakes is the bad snakes.
Yeah.
So you just close the door and you don't let any of the snakes in. And that's the sad reality of black celebrity these days, because you don't know where Tupac would be at 30, 35, 40, so you just close the door on everybody, even though this is golden. And I think when you think about the Tupac legacy, the most golden thing about his legacy was his speeches, was these interviews, whether it's at the Black Expo where he was getting up under, what's the brother's name from the NOI that got killed?
Khalid Muhammad.
Khalid Muhammad, where he was getting up under their skin because he was, coming with that fire in such a way that it even made him like step back and be like, come on, brother. But yeah, so this is golden. I'm gonna just say this is golden, and because he died at such a young age, and he had, people are nuanced, and he has such a, very like puzzled history and checkered past of good and bad things. I'm gonna say this is golden, and for me, him, and I also exclude Muhammad Ali as just one of the exceptional celebrities. But like you put up two versus 2 million.
I don't.
Go jump in, brother. Go jump in.
I don't give nobody a pass. A celebrity is a celebrity. Period. Look, we could go all the way back. Who you think, what celebrity they ever did the worst? I mean, like, Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was the #1 celebrity, like, in his time. Boy, even was, he was singing in Russian. He was singing in different languages. He wasn't like one of this, we got superstars now. We got a Jay-Z. They rap. They only rap in English. This nigga Paul Robeson was singing in Russian in all kinds of different languages, traveling the world. He played football. He was the greatest college football player of ever. All of that. He did all of this. He was a superstar. When he started talking about communism and black people coming together to build, bro died poor as hell, I think in Philly somewhere. In a one shack room, whatever, he had all these bills. Like, nobody even talk about Paul Robeson now. If you're a celebrity and you're willing to put yourself out there for the people, they gonna do that, they gonna kill you, or they gonna lock you up for rape. Like they did Tupac. But then he came back out after they locked him up for rape, and he got the opportunity, like I got the opportunity, to break them books open and read. And when he came back out, he went back to being a celebrity again. I'm not mad. Tupac, I remember back then when it was him and Biggie going at it. Biggie was my favorite. I used to be like, how people even like Tupac? It took till he died for me to listen to his music and feel him. Like, I can't even listen to Biggie now, and I really don't feel it. Like, I listen to it like, But when I put on the Pac, like even when he talking right there, when he talking, like you can hear him. You can hear the sincerity. You can hear the passion. You can feel him. But what was his solution, though? What was his solution? And I'm gonna give a shout out right now, yo. Right now, I'm gonna plug something. So when we edit this video, make sure we put Aaron Dixon thing right here, flyer. Yo, Aaron Dixon coming down on February 1st, Sunday at 12 p.m. He's coming down to Newark, New Jersey at the bookstore, Source of Knowledge, downtown Newark, New Jersey. Aaron Dixon, the original Black Panther Party member. He opened the first chapter out of Cali in Seattle. He's coming to Newark to come speak, to come advise us on what we do, on how we keep the movement going. When you listen to Pac analysis on what we should do, what Pac said, he said, yo, give them money. Who's going to give them money? Who's going to give them some of their $32 million? That's not how none of this works. Yo, it's original Panthers. We follow the legacy of original Panthers, yo. We follow Huey P. Newton. We follow Fred Hampton. We follow all these people.
Aaron Dixon.
We follow Aaron Dixon. Right now, yo, Aaron Dixon right now in the live is like our Malcolm X, our Dr. King. You see, the government is not going to put him up there. You're not going to see him. You're not going to see him because he's counter to what they want to push. Aaron is coming here and he's going to talk to us about how we keep the movement going. What did Pac say should be done? Give those people money. Go help those people. And yo, that's not how imperialism, colonialism, that's how none of that works. They're not going to give those people money. So you could see where his philosophy, where his limitations were. He cared about the people. He had that deep passion. But he didn't understand to build institutions. Maybe you don't need to talk, just build the institutions in the community to liberate the people. Because if the people are not financially committed to this system, they will walk away from it. But we all have no choice. Today's Sunday, right? We all have no choice but to get up tomorrow to go work for these sons of bitches. Right or wrong? All of us, everybody, you got to get up and go work for them. If we didn't have to do that, if we had institutions in our community that took care of our needs, nobody would be going there. Nobody would go to City Hall. Nobody would go to their banks. If we don't go to their banks, what happened to their banks? They wither away and die. There's nobody going there. We're the ones going there. If we don't send our children to their police department, what's going to happen? They wither away and die. But we haven't gotten to the space, or at that time, he hadn't gotten to the space where he's like, yeah, we should go back and take our money and start building institutions in our community to serve the people. He wasn't there. He's still talking about like walking by somebody poor and giving them money. They could go drink. They go do whatever with it. It don't matter as long as they got, that's charity. Charity don't do nothing for the people. You have to organize the people. But I'm my bad, Shab. I always got to explain. I got to go into my whole spiel.
Now, you good. You going in. I mean, I'm always say have a little difference of opinion because Tupac is one of my favorite artists. I mean, when I was a kid, that's what I was listening to when I wasn't listening to these other artists that was talking about different stuff. So a lot of the veracity of being a young black man, so-called black man, and to, conquering something, I don't think he fully possibly matured to what he was supposed to be. A lot of his talking and dealing with was getting up over the oppression, and being able to speak to what was happening. I don't think he was fully able to make the application that he was trying to make. I know later on, there's there's videos of him talking about taking over the music industry and using it like how the music labels use rock and roll and taking over doing that for hip hop. I don't know if it's how that would have necessarily worked, but I can see remnants of the idea in like rappers like Lil Wayne and Young Thug, like they all like bastardized versions of Tupac to me. But just to speak to that. But yeah, somebody wanted to say something? Okay. Anybody want to say nothing? It's okay. Yeah, pretty much. This is pretty much the last slide that's going on. We have the original Black Panther comrade, founder of the Seattle chapter, Aaron Dixon. We have this event going on, and I don't know if that video was shown. I wanted to show a clip of
Yeah, I
him.
can share it. So you can stop sharing. I can share the video.
8 time bombs with a stick of dynamite and an alarm clock in a shoebox. The plan was set. Jack would get the dynamite from his contact. We picked him up without incident. When we got near, a cop car put on its flashing red lights and sirens. We were all nervous, but Jack was sweating like a madman. Luckily, a platoon of Panthers had seen us get stopped, which spurred the cops to let us go. That was a close call. One night, these same comrades, along with Curtis Harris, decided they would escort me home from the office, which I found unusual. And we started walking down 34th, and a police car drives by. One of these guys, Curtis Harris, he pulls out a .45 and he starts shooting. And moments later, Curtis and the other two had disappeared, and I was alone. And so I was there like by myself, and I said, shit, what's going on? And so I started running, looking for a place to hide. I ran up into this family's backyard, the Mellinsons. Within minutes, I could hear cars filling the streets, and I could hear the voices getting louder. I pulled out my 9mm and braced for the worst. The owner of the house, Mr. Mellinson, he saw what was going on. He came out on the back porch. He signaled me to come in. I ran in with my piece in my hand. We could see the cops frantically searching for me. I observed Mr. Mellinson for many years. When Elmer and I joined the party, Mr. Mellinson ordered his children not to have anything to do with us, which was understandable. He was the last person I would have thought would risk his position and his family to save a crazy revolutionary, and he will forever remain in my heart.
All power to the people.
Is that it?
Stop right there. So we have the comrade, the elder, the brother, speaking on an experience that you've watched a further documentary in regards to. There's a couple incidents with the police officer being killed and him being left alone with people that he thought would be with him, and they just left him alone. And his last person that he thought would look out for him was somebody that told your family told his family to keep their family away from him, stay away from him. And that was the same person that was like, come in the house. And you got to think about it like this. You tell him to come in the house, and there's police looking at him, looking for them. And you know how the police are, especially even back then, ain't no cameras back then. I mean, it's even worse. So the police come in, if the police were to kick in that man's house, he would not only put himself in danger, the comrade is already in danger, his family was also potentially in danger. But he, understanding who the comrade is, says, come in my house. He was supposed to be there with his other comrades, and they left him, which he's like, there's something going on. This is like, they just dipped off. They just started doing stuff out of no reason, and now they dipped off, and I'm alone. I don't got nobody to depend on. Who can I depend on in this moment that's happened? This stuff is happening there. And so that realization, the elder comrade is speaking to, is something very, very important and pivotal to think about when we have these moments. What breaks that slave mindset? What breaks that questioning whether or not are people for us or against us? And sometimes even people may not totally agree with you with your ideology, but they understand who you are as a person and what you stand for. It kind of almost to that thing with Tupac and everything else. It's like all of us, we can all pick at different things, and we all have our things that we put as golden or sellout behavior. But when the powers that be and who we are fighting against, and also we're fighting for ourselves, the real when the metal meets metal, then you see what's actually was real, what matters. And I feel that for my own self, from being formerly a teacher, going into school industries, and I'm like, I want to change the youth. I want to help the youth by being in the classroom with them. I want to talk with them and have conversations with their family. And I'm like, I can only do but so much because I'm allowed to only do but so much.
That's the time right there. We got to go, comrade. Hey, yo, great show today. Great show. Great show, but we got to go. We don't went past our time. Outstanding show, Sham. All power to the people. We got to go. The next show coming on.
Okay.
Where's it at? Great show, Sham. Great show.
All power to the
I
people.
thank everybody for coming, man.
Appreciate you.